five aircrafts. Five aircrafts they have downed, and two UAVs. And some reports also talk of three UAVs. Now, with this kind of a narrative, which they have sent to their public, which is totally wrong, but Pakistan is known to be spreading lies like this only to boost up the morale of its people. It is absolutely essential for them that they will strike back. Now, where they will strike back is the question which our planners, I'm sure, must be analyzing. But there are two or three basic options. One is along the LAC, they can launch certain kind of strikes, some bat actions, certain artillery barrages, and those kind of things. The second could be to strike some of the military targets in the J&K only, and deep inside. And the third option could be that they could choose some of these targets along the complete Indo-Pak border.
Okay.
Now, we have to be prepared for all this.
Right. On that point, I want to bring in General Dawar, who is the first chief of India's Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA. We know that as we speak, Mr. Dawar is briefing the Prime Minister. Intelligence plays a huge and critical role in anticipation, doesn't it, General Dawar?
Absolutely. First of all, my Jai Hind to all your viewers, and I'm sure, totally sanguine, that India will emerge victorious from this crisis, which has been foisted and initiated by nobody else but General Asim Munir personally. He is a jihadi general with an old reputation of being anti-India. So, coming back to your question specifically, intelligence naturally plays a very, very, very major role, especially in an insurgency environment. And I think that is where perhaps we have failed to an extent that we could not make out that these terrorists who had come from all the way from Pakistan, held by some of the overground workers in J&K, they came and they indulged in a dastardly murder of 26 innocent, unarmed tourists. Now, so intelligence has been a failure, so let's accept it. And we need to not only go technologically ahead as far as intelligence is concerned, but more importantly, sharpen our grassroots intelligence, because when these terrorists come from across the border, they cannot survive on their own. Somebody within the valley would be helping them with their logistics, their food and shelter and all the rest. So we have failed to an extent as far as intelligence is concerned. And I'm sure the powers that be who are responsible now would not only make people accountable, but go into why and how and what all to do to sharpen our grassroots intelligence.
Well, it's fundamental, viewers. Before we take a short break, just to tell you that meeting has been now going on for about 45 minutes between Ajit Doval and the Prime Minister. So something is brewing quite clearly. A briefing is being given to the Prime Minister, which is quite elaborate, on perhaps the intelligence that is being received in India on Pakistan's preparations. One just hopes that we're on top of that, because if we are, we'll be able to preempt Pakistan at any point. We'll take a very short break. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
सस्ते वाले
Viewers, hello and welcome to the live and rolling coverage of India's counter-strike on Pakistan just 2 weeks after the Pahalgam terror attack. Remember, viewers, yesterday was the 14th day. The previous strikes that we had conducted against Pakistan took place within that time window. So it was imminent. The destruction is visible on your screens. That's the before and after picture from Jamia Mosque in Bahawalpur. You can see how the Spice missiles, how the Hammer missile systems have penetrated the concrete, flattened out that structure. It doesn't stand anymore, viewers. This Jamia Mosque in Bahawalpur is flattened, and it is flattened only because of resolve of a resolute decision that was taken to ensure that we get justice for Pahalgam. That again is Bahawalpur. That really is the edifice, viewers. That is the edifice of the Pakistani deep state that has cultivated, nurtured vipers. Precise, focused, and retributive justice for that very, very, very insidious enterprise by Pakistan. It's all been flattened. It's left an indelible scar, not only on the ground, but also on the psyches of the Pakistanis. So much so, viewers, that today most of them are imagining that they're under attack in Lahore. The administration there in Lahore, which is of course across the border, and Lahore is very, very psychologically important in the establishment, Pakistan establishment mind's eye. Why? Because Lahore really is a seat, the citadel of their power. Viewers, before the break, we were talking about intelligence assessments. There's a big meeting going on between Mr. Doval and the Prime Minister as we speak. That meeting has stretched on for about 45 minutes. But related news, top intelligence sources have told your channel that Pakistan Army Poonch attack is nothing but a deliberate attempt to unsettle Kashmir and Kashmiri minorities. Sikhs, including Sikhs, the deliberate targeting of Sikhs and their Gurdwara shows Pakistan's strategy of using civilian suffering to retaliate against India's counter-terror operations. Let me go straight across to Ishan Wani for more on this. Ishan, I know you've been seeing most of your reports. You're doing a fantastic job from that LOC, which has been badgered yesterday by Pakistan. Cowardly attacks on innocent civilians. Talk us through this report that you have filed.
Well, what we know so far is that there's a deliberate attempt being targeted, the minorities, particularly in Rajouri, Poonch and all these areas, precisely targeted Gurdwara yesterday, something which is not unexpected of them, but something which has angered a lot of people on the ground. What we know is that the intelligence sources have told CNN News 18 that Pakistan Army is trying to, do a kind of massacre, that it is nothing less than a massacre that has been done in Poonch. Extensive shellings on the houses, residential houses, compounds. Women have died inside the compounds, and even some disciples who were inside the Gurdwara at that time also died due to the Pakistan shelling. Now, what we also know is that by attacking, these religious, places, Pakistan Army is trying to alienate the Sikh community in Poonch, because a large population of Sikhs who also live in Poonch and in border areas. Remember, I'm in one such border area. I'll tell you how the situation is unfolding right now. But direct targeting of these areas is something which has angered the people on the ground as well. The intelligence sources are also telling us that, out of the many, because these children, these men who lost their lives seem to be on the direct target of Pakistan Army. Let me give you an overview how the situation looks like. If our producers can take a little full frame, I'll show you that this is a house of a civilian in Uri, which has been shelled, and Pakistan artillery landed just outside this house. Rahul, if you could give me some time, I'll show you. If my VJ can follow me, I'll show you where the shell landed and then how extensively it caused the damage here. This is the spot where the shell landed. If VJ can show us that this is the entire spot. This is a big spot that is caused by the shell. This is where it landed. These are the remains and some shrapnels from the this particular artillery shell that was fired at a civilian location. And then if you go inside, you will see entire thing is scattered. People are now cleaning this house because they are in a state of shock and panic, because now the residential area and houses have been targeted. You will notice here that it is lucky enough for the civilians here that they survived this attack. Even this car, look at the holes that have been caused to this damage that has been caused to this car and the house. Bashir, if we can also show you that, look at the facade of this house and look at the sort of shrapnels that have hit it, and the windows have come out. The entire thing has been blasted, and it is nothing less than shocking. These pictures are telling you a story how that moment would have been. Look at this entire wall, just scattered, just where all the shrapnels hit them, and some of them even went inside. But lucky enough for the residents that they were able to save themselves, that they did not get in the way of this particular shell which landed here. This is a village in Uri where we have been told that multiple shells landed in a residential area, which has caused panic. The villagers, interestingly, are telling us, we have the bites, that we are ready to fight with the army. We just need protection for our children and family. ready, that we want to go shoulder to shoulder.
We're going to play out some of those reports
that
Ishan has been sending us, documenting all these atrocities, these crimes against humanity by Pakistan. And I can tell you that there have been 13 fatalities in Poonch, and non-fatal fatalities are about 59, out of which 44 are in Poonch. And those pictures are telling us the story, viewers. We're going to take a short break. I just want to tell you that the meeting between NSA Doval and Prime Minister lasted almost 1 hour. It's over now. We're coming right back to more details on that after the break. Don't go away.
They have codenamed this operation Operation Sindoor. Exactly 2 weeks after what happened in Pahalgam, the Indian Army, through Operation Sindoor, has hit 9 targets.
The US NSA briefed Secretary of State Marco Rubio, briefed Zaka. So all these people being briefed in advance saying this is what we are doing.
Will these restore deterrence in Pakistan's mind? These strikes are significant, Anand. They are in proper Pakistan.
What is the thinking right now in GHQ in Rawalpindi? What is the thinking of Asim Munir? This is a direct hit at his authority, the authority of the Pakistan Army.
They are saying that India attacked us, remaining within their boundaries. So they have confirmed that, no jets who are there in the Pakistani airspace.
What smart is he?
Viewers, hello and welcome to the live and rolling coverage of India's counter-strike on Pakistan just 2 weeks after the Pahalgam terror attack. Remember, viewers, yesterday was the 14th day. The previous strikes that we had conducted against Pakistan took place within that time window. So it was imminent. The destruction is visible on your screens. That's the before and after picture from Jamia Mosque in Bahawalpur. You can see how the Spice missiles, how the Hammer missile systems have penetrated the concrete, flattened out that structure. It doesn't stand anymore, viewers. This Jamia Mosque in Bahawalpur is flattened, and it is flattened only because of resolve, of a resolute decision that was taken to ensure that we get justice for Pahalgam. That again is Bahawalpur. That really is the edifice, viewers. That is the edifice of the Pakistani India has decimated 9 Pak terror hubs. You know all about that, viewers. We were on this news from 2 in the morning yesterday, but Pakistan continues to torment our civilians. India's precision strike has targeted epicenters used to plan and execute attacks against India, but what Pakistan has done is unpardonable and escalatory. Border shelling from the Pakistan side, which has gone from small fire to heavy artillery. Even children were not spared. A Gurdwara was hit by Pakistan shelling in Poonch. First Pahalgam, now Poonch. Pak's attack on innocent civilians continues from Poonch to Rajouri, from Mehndar to Kupwara. Pakistani troops resorted to unprovoked firing in 8 forward sectors along the LOC in Jammu and Kashmir, violating ceasefire agreements and prompting retaliation from India's troops. Ground report now coming in from Poonch Gurdwara that was targeted by Pakistan cowards. Rajan Ved gets us this report, viewers.
पाकिस्तान में स्थित आतंकी जो अड्डे थे उनको निशाना बनाया, जिसके बाद बुकलाया हुआ पाकिस्तान उन्होंने पुंछ सिटी को निशाना बनाया और ऐसे कई जो है स्ट्रक्चर्स थे, जो मॉन्यूमेंट्स थे, लोगों के रिहायशी मकान थे, दुकानें थी, जहां पे आके शेल फटे और काफी नुकसान जानमाल का यहां पे हुआ। मैं यहां पे इस वक्त सिंह सभा गुरुद्वारा है ये पुंछ का, और यहां भी कल आके एक शेल फटा है और आपको बताता हूं कि कितना नुकसान इससे हुआ है। और पाकिस्तानी फोर्स ने ना मंदिर, ना गुरुद्वारा, ना कोई दुकान, ना मकान, रिहायशी इलाकों में आम जो लोग हैं उनको कल निशाना बनाया और एक के बाद एक गोले यहाँ पे दागे। ये आप देखिए कि इस जगह पे कल शेल जो है पाकिस्तान से जो आया वो फटा और इससे जो है काफ़ी नुकसान जो है यहाँ गुरुद्वारे की प्रॉपर्टी को पहुंचा है। आप देख सकते हैं कि जो जितनी भी विंडोज हैं ये टूट चुकी हैं। यहाँ सब जो है आप नीचे देखेंगे तो ये यहाँ पे वॉल थी वो टूट चुकी है और ये तबला आपको सामने दिखाएंगे, इसमें भी सुराख हो चुका है। काफ़ी नुकसान जो है वो यहाँ पे हुआ। हमारे साथ यहाँ जो इस गुरुद्वारे की देखरेख करते हैं वो मौजूद हैं। कितना नुकसान हुआ, कितने बजे ये हुआ और उस वक्त कितने लोग यहाँ मौजूद थे?
यहाँ पे वैसे गुरुद्वारे का जो हमारा सारी प्रोग्राम सुबह 6:30 में खत्म हो जाता है, उसके बाद जो है सारे तकरीबन चले गए थे, संगत का कोई बंदा था नहीं यहाँ पे। उसके बाद जैसे 8 बजे के करीब यहाँ पे शेलिंग हुई, शेल पड़ा यहाँ पे, नीचे आकर देख ही रहे वैसे। तो उसमें ये जो टूट फूट ये गुरुद्वारा का नुकसान हो जो आपके सामने देखो आप, उसमें क्या कि जैसे जान माल का कोई नुकसान नहीं हुआ उसमें।
ठीक है, जान नहीं गई, लेकिन जो ये शेल फटा है उससे जो ये लेंटर है ये टूट चुका है, यानी कि शेल की आवाज और जो वो
यकीन मानो के कान के पर्दे फटने में कोई कसर नहीं रही, क्योंकि साथ में ये हम सब चीज के गुरुद्वारे के साथ में रहते हैं। तो आस पड़ोस में किसी के कोई खिड़कियां टूटी हैं, किसी की टैंकी वैंकी टूटी होगी, तो उसके बाद ये गुरुद्वारे का जो नुकसान है चलो जो होना हो गया उसमें अभी हमें सारी सफाई की। सुबह हमारे प्रधान जी भी यहीं पे थे, तो बाकी कमेटी में हम सब ने मिलकर यहाँ सफाई की। बहुत बुरी हालत थी सुबह यहाँ पे। बाकी आप देख रहे हैं ये खिड़कियां वगैरह जो शीशे एक नहीं बचा इसमें।
तो आप देख सकते हैं कि यहाँ पे जो शीशे हैं वो टूट चुके हैं, यहाँ पे प्रॉपर्टी को नुकसान पहुंचा है। लेंटर में देखिए सुराख हो चुका है, यानी कि जहाँ पे शेल फटा है और जैसे कि इनका बताना है कि आवाज और इतनी ज्यादा थी कि कान के जो पर्दे हैं वो तक फट चुके थे इनके। और ये जिस तरह से लोग यहाँ पे सहमे डरे हुए हैं और रिहायशी मकानों को निशाना बनाया, वो सामने मकान देखें आप। मैं अपने विजय को कहूंगा ये बिल्कुल साथ में गुरुद्वारे के एक मकान है जहाँ पे एक शेल फटा और लगातार जो है ये रिहायशी कॉलोनी को निशाना जो बनाया गया है। आप क्या कहेंगे? ये आपका मकान है, कैसे कितने बजे शेल फटा?
ये सर 10 और 10:30 में फटा। ये मैं घर से 2 मिनट पहले निकला, टैंकी को मैंने पानी दिया, बाद में देखा ये मेरा इधर धुआं ही धुआं था। वापस आया, मेरा घर भी टूटा था और गुरु का गुरुद्वारा भी टूटा था।
अच्छा, तो मुझे आप ये बताएं कि जिस तरह से रिहायशी इलाकों को निशाना बनाया गया, कितना गुस्सा है आप लोगों के मन में?
मैं कहता हूँ तो ये मोदी सरकार को चाहिए कि उसका मुंह तोड़ जवाब दे।
हालांकि मुंह तोड़ जवाब जो है वो दिया भी गया है, लेकिन अब भी जो है कितना लोगों में खौफ इस बात को लेकर के पाकिस्तान लगातार आम लोग जो आम यहाँ पे लोग रहते हैं उनको निशाना बनाने में लगा हुआ है।
सर मतलब इसको कड़ा कदम उठाना चाहिए, आइंदा का बात ये हरकत कभी ना करे।
तो लोग जो हैं वो चाहते हैं यहाँ ऐसी हरकत नहीं होनी चाहिए। और जिस तरह से यहाँ नुकसान हुआ है और सभी आप ये मेरे विजय दिखाएंगे, सामने मंदिर है वहाँ भी शेल फटा है और उसके साथ साथ जो रिहायशी इलाके आप जितने भी देखेंगे वहाँ सब जगह आके गोले जो है वो पाकिस्तान की तरफ से जो दागे गए थे वो गिरे और उसके चलते ही यहाँ पे जान माल का नुकसान हुआ, लोगों की जान गई, लोगों की प्रॉपर्टी तहस नहस हो गई। और अब लोग जो हैं वो हालांकि चाहते हैं कि मुंह तोड़ जवाब इसका भी जो है पाकिस्तान को दिया जाए, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं जो है लोगों में एक खौफ भी है कि पाकिस्तान कभी भी शेलिंग जो है वापस शुरू कर सकता है। और सामने दीवार पे देखें तो जिस तरह से शेल के जो स्प्लिंटर्स होते हैं वो आपको दिखाई देंगे। अब इस घटना के बाद आप लोग कैसे देखते हैं हालातों को, क्योंकि लगातार पुंछ को टारगेट किया जा रहा है?
हालात को मद्देनजर देखते हुए हम ऐसा ही बोलते हैं कि जैसे देखो लोगों में छोटे छोटे बच्चे हैं, हर घर में परिवार में छोटे बच्चे बुजुर्ग होते हैं, उनके लिए थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम बन जाती है उसमें। हम उसको देखते हुए बोलते हैं चलो आगे मोदी सरकार को चाहिए कि थोड़ा ऐसा कदम उठाएं जिसके वजह थोड़ा जो चलो जो जाने गई हैं उसके बाद जो हैं वो तो आराम से सुख से रहेंगे। तो इसलिए हम बोलते हैं चलो जो है नुकसान होना था वो तो हो गया, पर यह है कि चलो आगे का थोड़ा मोदी सरकार को चाहिए कि एक कड़ा कदम उठाएं जिसकी वजह से जो पीछे जनता है वो तो सुख से रहेगी।
आप क्या कहेंगे इस रिहायशी इलाके को, पुंछ को जो निशाना बनाया गया, काफ़ी जान भी चली गई?
जी हम तो यही कहना चाहेंगे कि जो हुआ उसके हमें बहुत दुख है, पर अब जो हो रहा है तो उसके लिए मोदी सरकार यही करे कि हमें या तो कहीं सेफ्टी दे दे, हम कहीं सेफ रहें, या फिर कि इनको अच्छा सबक सिखाए।
ये चाहते हैं कि पाकिस्तान को सबक सिखाना चाहिए और लेकिन लोग जो हैं वो चाहते हैं कि हालांकि काफ़ी लोग जो हैं वो पुंछ से सेफ़ मकामात जो सेफ़ जगहों पे जा चुके हैं, लेकिन कुछ लोग जो हैं वो अभी भी अपने यहाँ घरों में मौजूद हैं और इस वक्त खौफ के साए में हैं। और लगातार जिस तरह से पाकिस्तान ने रिहायशी इलाकों को निशाना बनाया है, ये दिखाता है कि किस तरह से पाकिस्तान यहाँ के लोगों में दहशत फैलाने की कोशिश में लगा हुआ है।
Viewers, breaking news coming in. That meeting between Ajit Doval and the Prime Minister has just ended about 5 minutes back. Let's go straight across to Arun Dhanta for this. We were also told that the Home Secretary was also part of that confabulation. What can you tell us, Arun?
Well, that's right, Rahul. After 1 hour meeting with Prime Minister Modi, Ajit Doval has left, and we're given to understand that the Home Secretary Govind Mohan is also inside. Whether all three of them in one meeting or Prime Minister met them separately, that's something which we'll have to see. But one thing is confirmed, that NSA has left and Govind Mohan, Home Secretary, is still inside. Sources are telling us that the Home Secretary, of course, briefing Prime Minister Modi about the meetings that he's conducting with the different state chief secretaries, especially the border states, on, of course, Pakistan's potential retaliation that India is expecting, and accordingly preparing themselves. The meeting between NSA and Prime Minister lasted for 1 hour, as we've been discussing about this meeting, that how Ajit Doval is somebody who's been the point person for Prime Minister Modi. He's somebody who's been coordinating with the tri-services chiefs, with the CDS, and he's somebody who's been very closely watching all the developments and briefing Prime Minister Modi. So, of course, the meeting between both of them, was about India's preparation for retaliation if Pakistan, does some misadventure, how India is ready for it, what are the preparations, and especially what Pakistan is doing at this point in time, whether it is intelligence, logistic, and how our forces are ready, all these things. And Govind Mohan's presence here, Rahul, is also very important, because yesterday, if you remember, that Home Minister Amit Shah has chaired that meeting with the chief ministers and the governors of the border states. So perhaps in that regard, we'll be expecting that some sort of feedback being given by Home Secretary to Prime Minister Modi, and also, of course, other related issues. So it's a significant meeting which is going on at this point, whether it is with the NSA or with Govind Mohan, Home Secretary.
Well, important viewers, that's a very important meeting, and I can't emphasize enough just how important intelligence is in the larger strategy play that is happening. But we're also getting more breaking news from the other big meeting, which is the all-party meeting that is taking place in the Union capital. Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, is briefing that all-party meeting. Yesterday, he'd also briefed the rest of the country on that operation. So let's try to get some more information on that. Payal, what's Rajnath Singh ji saying there?
Rajnath Singh, essentially, Rahul, is briefing the all-party on what really has transpired in the last 36 hours. Remember, ever since we did this precise strikes against Pakistan, Pakistan has also been retaliating. Pakistan has also responded. What is the LOC with the fact that the Ministry of Home Affairs,
Go ahead.
the Ministry of External Affairs is currently put out the list of casualties as well. So Rajnath Singh is doing that briefing as well. After which we are given to understand multiple leaders from all parties will be given a minute or two to speak about what their comment really is on this entire matter. Because remember, in the last meeting at the very same venue, all the opposition parties, including the Congress party, had told Amit Shah and Rajnath Singh that they were, entitled to take the entire argument forward, that India was a united force, much like Pakistan did not really want. India was a united front, and the government of today could take appropriate action. But back then, Mallikarjun Kharge and Rahul Gandhi, and Mallikarjun Kharge being the senior politician that he really was, made a lot of noise about Prime Minister Narendra Modi not being present over there. It's going to be important to see if he raises the same issue today as well.
Yes.
Because he said that, Amit Shah and Rajnath Singh can go and translate whatever the all-party sentiment really is. But, sometimes the voice in translation gets lost as well. So that has been the argument of Mallikarjun Kharge as well. But, several leaders within the opposition ranks, especially the likes of former Defense Minister Sharad Pawar, had proactively, Rahul, called the Prime Minister and called the Defense Minister yesterday to express support of the opposition parties, and also tell them how it felt, good for a nation to see the armed forces being so valiant and so brave and teaching the enemy a nation.
Well, thanks indeed, Payal, for that update, comprehensive update. Of course, we'll get you more updates from that meeting as we come across them, viewers. Let me open this up and go straight back to Lieutenant General Kamal Dawar. We also have with us Air Chief with us, and Rajendra Singh, of course, General Rajendra Singh. All of them have been part of us and our panel and our coverage. Air Marshal, of course, Kapoor Saab also there. Now, Air Marshal Kapoor, I wanted to ask you this because a lot of information coming out on these munitions that we made and manufactured in Bengaluru. So that's that made their debut in Operation Sindoor. I'm not sure if you've come across these reports. The Sky Striker suicide drones, as they're called, designed to locate, acquire and strike operator designed targets with a warhead installed in the fuselage. And apparently they were part of this Operation Sindoor. Can you talk a little bit about the munitions that were used, including this one?
See, I'm not privy to this particular equipment which you're asking, but broadly I can, for your viewers and the general public, I can cover a few aspects. This operation is very unique because we used loitering munitions. The army in the POK used loitering munitions, which were satellite guided precision weapons. So if you see how the dynamics in war fighting is changing is that we are taking out precise targets without doing collateral damage. So these weapons have now started to be manufactured in India. As far as the weapons that we used from our aeroplanes, I have no full proof of this thing, but what may have been used mainly would have been scalp and hammer in yesterday's to take out Bahawalpur and the Mudir targets. So now these are fitted on Rafale aircrafts and they have a range, the scalp has a range of about 500 kilometers and hammer is a weapon which can be maneuvered and guided while after it's being launched from the airplane. So the development which the DRDO is doing is phenomenal. The weaponry that in last 2 to 3 years we are developing in-house is leaps and bounds ahead. Because today we have taken the young boys from the IITs and others and the professionals, quite a few of them I know personally, who have done the reverse brain drain. I know a lot of Indians who have now migrated back from Europe and America who are doing exceptionally well and producing equipment for the defense establishments have now come back. They are IIT groomed children. So they are back and now have done startups. So the Defense Ministry is giving a lot of incentives in terms of IDEX, Aditi and other programs, wherein the funding has been given by the... So these weapons in and around Bangalore, Hyderabad and these areas are being developed with help of DRDO. Okay. And these are related what you are just saying.
Okay, so this is very interesting. Indigenous systems were used quite largely yesterday, viewers. Let me also bring in General Singh here. General Singh, Pakistan is expected to retaliate. It's not a question of, it's just now a question of when, as you yourself have sort of suggested. What do you think they're going to use? Weapon systems? What is it that they're going to hit us with, if at all? They have anything?
I think Pakistan also has a lot of modern weapon systems. They have got missiles, they've also got UAVs, plus they have been given drones by Turkey. And so therefore, we have to be prepared to counter all this. And I think the discussions now which are taking place is not only as to what Pakistan is going to do, but it is also as to how we are going to react to it and also how we are going to prevent it. I think with our air defense system, with our constant surveillance on the border, it would not be difficult for us to counter the threat which the Pakistani drone strikes or missile strikes are going to take. It's very heartening to hear what the Air Marshal was telling about incorporation of these IIT boys and others. I think it is going to ensure that we take a quantum jump in our research and development of the weapon systems, which is indeed very heartening. As far as the type of reaction which Pakistan is going to have, I have already talked about it. But I think personally that they are going to strike some of the military targets inside J&K. And that is why we have got to be alert over there, which the alert must be already on. And what you see now is that the Prime Minister is totally and firmly in control. He is keeping a tab over what is happening as far as the military front is concerned. He's keeping a tab as to what all is happening in the as far as our states are concerned and the actions which they are required to take. I think there cannot be a better example of providing the kind of a leadership during these conflict situations which Prime Minister Modi is providing today.
Very interesting. General Dawar, does Pakistan have the intelligence capacity to suss out, A, what we're doing and where some of our sensitive military installations are, etc., etc.?
See, the capabilities or the shortcomings of intelligence with any country are really kept under the wraps. But the fact remains that all efforts would be being made by the Pakistanis through HUMINT, SIGINT, ILINT, satellite imagery, and everything under the sun. These days, technology plays a very vital role. But of course, there is no substitute for human intelligence. So they would be, and since they indulge in a lot of mischief, they also indulge in a lot of terrorism. And terrorism succeeds when you have some intelligence, whether it's grassroots or somebody from the other side and things like that. So they would be having reasonably good intelligence. I have no doubt on that. But the fact remains that our counterintelligence measures have to also be of a very high order to prevent anything leaking to the Pakistanis. And as far as General Asim Munir is concerned, who's the chief architect of all the things that are happening now, and he's perhaps made the biggest mistake in his life, he would have also ensured that he has some form of intelligence, concrete intelligence, which he can put into practice by taking certain actions on the ground. And so let's not. I would say.
Yeah, we're not discounting anything, and it's unwise to discount or even believe that your adversary is not up to it. So that is very important to state, viewers. But so far, Pakistan hasn't demonstrated that it wants to apply intelligence at all. It has been indiscriminatory, if anything, bombing civilian targets, cowardly act. Here are some reports, viewers, of what Pakistan has been doing.
CNN News 18 is reporting from Uri, and this is where a lot of ceasefire violation from Pakistan has taken place. To show you the market today, it's almost deserted, but people have now started to once again come back to life. Markets have also started to open up, but there is palpable tension, fear, and at times when there is intense shelling, the shells could also land here in Uri market. The line of control is very close to my extreme left, behind these mountains, that the line of control exists. So there is tension, but people are going about their normal life. Army has said that during the night time, there was a ceasefire violation that took place in Baramulla, Kupwara and parts of Jammu as well. And there has been a palpable fear among local population here, but they say that there are certain casualties and injuries that have been inflicted by the Pakistan shelling. But yes, life has to go on, and several people have chosen to vacate their houses who are living near the line of control in Uri, and they have gone to some other places. There were at least 10 injuries which were caused in the Uri subdivision yesterday due to the ceasefire violation. Around 20 plus structures were also damaged, and some vehicles also suffered damage. And during the night time, the small exchange fire and artillery fire was also reported from several sectors.
भारत की तरफ से किए गए हमले के बाद पाकिस्तानी आर्मी ने इंडियन आर्मी पोस्ट्स पर फायरिंग की, आर्टिलरी फायर किया और उसके साथ साथ सिविलियन एरियाज में भी गोले गिरे। और आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ पर 2 मकान बिल्कुल तबाह हो चुके हैं। ये सलामाबाद का एरिया है, उड़ी का एरिया, बिल्कुल लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल जो है ये आप देख सकते हैं। ये जो माउंटेन है ये लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल है और वहां जो पाकिस्तानी आर्मी के पोस्ट हैं वहां पर सीज फायर वायलेशन की गई, अंधाधुंध जो है गोले बरसाए गए और उसकी जद में ये 2 मकान आ गए और रात के दौरान ये फायरिंग की गई और ये मकान पूरी तरह से तबाह हो गए। अभी भी यहाँ पर आग जल रही है, तो ये मैं पूरा दिखाने की कोशिश करूंगा इस पूरे एरिया को। और ये आप देख सकते हैं कि ये किचन है और किचन के अंदर जिस तरीके का सामान पड़ा है आप देख सकते हैं। पूरा लोग जो हैं वो बिल्कुल अपने घरों में थे और जो ही फायरिंग की आवाज सुनाई दी उसके बाद लोग घरों से बाहर आए और उसके साथ ही इस घर पे 2 गोले गिरे हैं। इसकी वजह से दोनों मकानों में आग लगी है, यानी इस बस्ती को निशाना बनाया गया। और ये घर जो है आप देख सकते हैं ये भी तबाह हो गया ये मकान, और जो छर्रे हैं गोलों के उसकी वजह से आप देख सकते हैं कितने सुराख यहाँ पे इर्द गिर्द हुए हैं। ये हाल है और इससे आप अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं कि कितनी शिद्दत रही होगी इस धमाके की जो यहाँ पे गोले बरसाए गए। और अंदर भी मैं दिखाने की कोशिश करूंगा कि यहाँ पे क्या कुछ हुआ है। पूरी तरह से ये घर बर्बाद हो गया है और उसके अलावा 2 मकान जिन पे ये गोले गिरे हैं वो पूरी तरह से तबाह हो चुके हैं, उनमें आग लगी है और आग अभी भी यहाँ पे जल रही है।
पंजाब से आप यहाँ पे काम करते हैं तो यहाँ पे कैसा माहौल है, डर है आप में?
देखो हमने तो कभी ऐसा नहीं देखा था और ये जो परसों हुआ
आप
था।
यहाँ पे मजदूरी कुछ करते हैं काम?
हाँ मजदूरी करते हैं, पर काफ़ी लोग भी जख्मी भी हुए हैं, घर भी जल गए हैं। और हम सरकार से यही अपील करना चाहते हैं कि लड़ाई में कोई फ़ायदा नहीं है, शांति का हमें शांति ही होनी चाहिए भाई, माहौल ख़राब नहीं होना चाहिए। काफ़ी लोग यहाँ के मुश्किल में खड़े हो गए हैं, अपने घर छोड़कर कोई बारामूला जा रहा, श्रीनगर जा रहा है, तो लड़ाई में कुछ नहीं पड़ा है।
आपका शुभ नाम?
अजय कुमार।
अजय जी कितने साल से यहाँ पे काम कर रहे हैं?
हमें 18 साल हो गए हैं
जी।
यहाँ के लोग भी बहुत अच्छे हैं, भाईचारा भी है, बहुत अच्छे लोग हैं, पर बदकिस्मती से ऐसा मसला खड़ा हो गया, हमने कभी सोचा ही नहीं था।
Although there are no fresh reports of ceasefire violations by Pakistan, but the situation remains to be critical here, and we are this time on ground zero in Udi market, and you can see the whole market is closed, shutters are down, and all the commercial establishments are closed. And as far as schools are concerned, the schools are also closed here, and the situation seems to be critical here, and there is a lot of panic in the area. और मैं अपने विजय आफाक से कहूँ कि ये another side of the story, and these are the border areas, and you can see in the visuals ये जो पहाड़ियाँ है तो यहाँ के जो मकान आपको नजर आ रहे हैं, और हाल ही में कोई ऐसा शख्स होगा जो अभी मकान के अंदर जो है मौजूद होगा, और वो जब कल शेलिंग हुई तो शेलिंग के फौरन बाद ही वो यहाँ से निकल चुके हैं। और जो आज रात भर हमने देखा कि पूरा एरिया जो था वो पैनिक में था और लोग कहीं ना कहीं अपनी जानें बचाने के लिए यहाँ से निकल गए हैं। लगभग हम ये कह सकते हैं कि ऑलमोस्ट 80% of the population have been लगभग कल की अगर हम बात करेंगे तो इस वक्त यानी कि 24 घंटे अभी नहीं बीते हैं कि शेलिंग जो है वो हो रही थी, और हमने देखा कि वी हैव विजिटेड द इस्लामाबाद उड़ी एरियाज, कमांड पोस्ट पे हम गए और वहां पे हमने देखा कि जो मकान थे वो काफ़ी शेलिंग की जद में आ गए हैं और काफ़ी जो नुकसान है, डैमेज है वो मकानों को पहुंचा है। और इस सिलसिले में जब हमने लोकल से बात की तो लोकल्स का ये कहना है कि वो चाहते हैं कि सीज फायर वायलेशन ना हो पाकिस्तान की तरफ से, और जिसकी वजह से अब लोग जो है काफ़ी घबराए हुए हैं। लेकिन साथ ही साथ हमें ये बात भी समझनी होगी कि लोगों ने जो इंडिया की एक्शन थी, जो ऑपरेशन सिंदूर है, उसका कहीं ना कहीं दिफा किया है, उसको जस्टिफाई किया है और ये कहा है कि वो प्योरली, जिस तरह से इंडिया ने भी कहा कि ये पहलगाम टेरर अटैक का एक बदला था, और जिस तरह से इंडिया ने भी साफ किया था कि जो टेरर बेसिस है उन पे अटैक किया गया है।
फारूक साहब, क्या माहौल है आज, जो माहौल हालात बने हैं उसमें कितना आपको मतलब ऐसा पैनिक है, कुछ यहाँ पे लोग डरे हुए हैं?
जो कल रात को शीलिंग हुई ना उसमें थोड़ा डर लोगों में आ गया, अचानक हो ना ये, उससे कुछ जो छोटे बच्चे जो जिनका कुछ था ऊपर श्रीनगर में या वाराणसी डेरे वेरे थे वो चले गए, बाकी जो बेचारे गरीब गुरबा वो क्या मजदूर क्या जाएगा उधर, बैठे घरों में। हाँ, तो उसके बाद तो शांति है, हाँ, रात में तो शांति यहाँ पर है।
तो नुकसान भी काफ़ी हुआ है, लोगों के घर तबाह हो गए हैं, कुछ लोग जख्मी भी हुए हैं।
इस्लामाबाद में हमने सुना इस्लामाबाद में हुए हैं
जी,
वहाँ जख्मी भी कुछ हुए हैं। इधर लगामा में एक पड़ा है कोई गोला, इस तरह मतलब जगह जगह पड़े हैं ये। तो बाकी तो सेफ ही है तकरीबन सारा इधर।
Since Pakistan has opened artillery fire at the LOC, there are families who have in fact moved from the areas close to LOC to the safer areas. In fact, some of the families have come to the hotels in the hinterland where they are away from the shelling. And we have these 2-3 individuals, in fact 2-3 families who have come here. They can afford it, and that's why they have chosen this hotel to stay away from that firing that is happening and is impacting lives of civilians there. I'll try to talk to them as to what are the kind of problems that they face, and also as far as the shelling is concerned. So what is the timing, what did they notice, and what happened last night? आपका नाम क्या है मैम?
बीबी फातिमा।
फातिमा जी, मुझे सबसे पहले तो बताइए कि रात आर्टिलरी फायर हुआ?
हाँ जी।
और बताया जा रहा है कि काफी खतरनाक था पिछले दिनों में।
बहुत खतरनाक।
पिछले सालों में ऐसा देखा नहीं।
ऐसा नहीं देखा।
तो आप लोगों ने फिर डिसाइड किया कि वहाँ से यहाँ आ जाएंगे?
यहाँ आ गए इधर ही।
अच्छा।
हाँ।
कौन सा गांव है आपका?
इस्लामाबाद।
इस्लाम जो बिल्कुल
पूरी इस्लामाबाद।
पूरी इस्लामाबाद।
हाँ।
अगर हम बात करें आर्टिलरी फायर की, तो गांव में कहीं आग वाग भी लगी है सुना हमने?
लगी आग लगी, मकान गिर गए।
और जो लोग हैं वो क्या, आप तो होटल में आ गए, आप तो कहें कि थोड़ा सा फाइनेंशियली स्टेबल हैं तो इसलिए पैसे दे
आ गया।
जी जी। और लोग कहाँ गए फिर?
उधर ही हैं।
क्या समाधान है, आपको लगता है कब तक बंद हो जाएगी ये फायर?
उस गला का कोई पता नहीं है, होएगी या नहीं होएगी, उस गला का कोई पता नहीं है।
कितने बजे, रात कितने बजे लगभग शुरू?
2 बजे।
2 बजे शुरू हुई?
2 बजे शुरू हुई है।
और कब तक चली फिर?
ओ 6 बजे तक।
6 बजे तक चली?
6 बजे तक। 6 बजे तक।
6 बजे तक चली। डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की तरफ से कोई मदद की गई, डीएम वगैरह या डीसी वगैरह आए कि आप इधर शिफ्ट हो जाओ या कहीं और चले जाओ?
नहीं आया।
नहीं आए?
अजय नहीं आए।
अच्छा, कितने रुपए का रूम है मैम ये यहाँ पर आप आए हैं? कितने रुपए का रूम मिल रहा है?
1500 पर डे।
1500 पर डे। तो कितने दिनों तक आपको लगता है कि आप रह पाएंगे?
मैक्सिमम 5-6 दिन तक।
मैक्सिमम 5-6 दिन। आपको लगता है 5-6 दिन बाद स्थिति सुधर जाएगी?
मुश्किल।
So to ensure that the forces are able to take out any civilian who is in harm's way, the preparedness is there. Let me show you. These are the vehicles kept at the Government Degree College, Baramulla, where hundreds of vehicles, mini taxis have been kept available under a contingency plan to ensure that any person who feels stranded, or if there is a need to relocate people living close to the line of control, that these vehicles prove a critical lifeline. Several of these drivers, these buses have been kept and stationed here to move any person living in the line of control. This is Government Degree College, Baramulla, where all of these vehicles have been kept stranded, waiting. What we have also given to understand is during the night times, the small arm and the artillery exchange which took place on the line of control. School buses, have also been kept here, and apart from school buses, taxis, big buses have also been brought here to ensure that if there is a need to evacuate civilian population from the line of control, as directed by the administration and the government, they're able to take them swiftly out, because civilians have been hit hard. Civilian areas in Poonch, civilian areas in Uri, and several other sectors have also been affected by the ceasefire violation by Pakistan, and that's why these buses have been kept here ready to ensure that in case it escalates, they're able to take out those civilian population living near the line of control.
इस समय हम अखनूर सेक्टर में हैं। फिर पाकिस्तान द्वारा एक बार फिर सीज फायर का उल्लंघन किया गया, क्योंकि पाकिस्तान एक कायर मुल्क है। बीती रात की बात करें तो बीती रात एक बार फिर पाकिस्तान द्वारा सीज फायर का उल्लंघन किया गया। जिस तरह से मिशन संदूर भारतीय सेना की तरफ से चलाया गया, उसको देख के जो पाकिस्तान वो बुखलाया हुआ है, वो हमेशा इसी फिराक में रहता है कि किस तरह से जम्मू कश्मीर में खलल डाला जाए। बट जो हमारी सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज है बिल्कुल अलर्ट मोड पे है। आप ठीक तस्वीरों में देख सकते हैं, ये जो हमारे जवान है, बारिश का मौसम है, बारिश पड़ रही है, फिर भी हमारे जवान डटे हुए हैं। इनके तरफ से चेकिंग की जा रही है, गाड़ियों की डिक्की खंगाली जा रही है। जो वाहन चालक हैं उनके दस्तावेज चेक किए जा रहे हैं ताकि कोई अप्रिय घटना ना घट सके। एक बार फिर मैं आपको बताते चलूं कि पाकिस्तान एक कायर मुल्क है, उसकी तरफ से हर बार सीज फायर का उल्लंघन किया जाता है। एक बार फिर बीती रात पाकिस्तान द्वारा सीज फायर का उल्लंघन किया गया, क्योंकि पाकिस्तान बुखलाया हुआ है। जिस तरह से एयर स्ट्राइक भारतीय सेना द्वारा की गई मिशन संदूर के तहत जो ऑपरेशन चलाया गया, उससे पाकिस्तान काफी बुखलाया हुआ है। और एक बार फिर आपको मैं तस्वीरों में बताते चलूं कि जो हमारे सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज है बिल्कुल अलर्ट मोड पे है। हर आने जाने वाले वाहनों की चेकिंग की जा रही है। जो लोग यहाँ से गुजर रहे हैं उनको चेक किया जा रहा है। डिक्की वगैरह खंगाली जा रही है ताकि कोई अप्रिय घटना ना घट सके।
अखनूर सेक्टर के एक एरिया में हूँ, एक सेफर एरिया में, जहाँ पे इन लोगों को रखा गया है। ये एक रिलीजियस सत्संग आश्रम है, उसमें इन को रखा गया। ये सभी लोग जो हैं उसी परगवाल सेक्टर से, ज्यादातर परगवाल सेक्टर से हैं, और जो इंडो पाक बॉर्डर है अखनूर सेक्टर में, वहां से ये ताल्लुक रखने वाले हैं। और आप देख सकते हैं इसमें बच्चे भी हैं, महिलाएं भी आई हैं, और खासी संख्या में ये लोग निकल के अब यहाँ पे पहुंचे हैं। कल सुबह से इनकी माइग्रेशन अपने घरों से हुई है, और अब चल के ये लोग यहाँ पे कल दिन से यहाँ पे रह रहे हैं। इनको खाने पीने की जो सुविधा है वो कहाँ से मिल रही है, इनको यहाँ कैसा लग रहा है, और ये इस पर क्या कहेंगे कि दोबारा इनको कई सालों के बाद, क्योंकि पिछले 4 साल में जो सीज फायर वायलेशन नहीं हुई थी, क्योंकि सीज फायर एग्रीमेंट था, उस वजह से इनको कोई दिक्कत नहीं हुई थी, लेकिन अब दोबारा उनको मुश्किलात का सामना करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि जिस तरह से बॉर्डर पे हालात कशीदा हैं, टेंशन भरे हैं। तो उसके बाद इनको कैसा लग रहा है, इनसे हम जानने की कोशिश तो करेंगे ही, लेकिन फिलहाल आप तस्वीरों में ये देख सकते हैं, ये जो लोग हैं, जिसमें महिलाएं ज़्यादातर आपको दिखेंगी, क्योंकि इनके जो लोग हैं, इनके जो पुरुष लोग हैं, वो अभी यहाँ पे ज़्यादातर अपने घरों में वहाँ देखने गए हैं, पशुओं को देखने गए हैं, खेती बाड़ी को देखने गए, लेकिन जो महिलाएं हैं, बच्चे हैं, वो अब यहाँ पे इस आश्रम में रह रहे हैं। गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से भी इनको फैसिलिटीज मिल रही हैं। क्या क्या फैसिलिटीज मिल रही है हम इनसे ही जानने की कोशिश करेंगे और बारी बारी से पूछने की कोशिश करेंगे। आपका नाम क्या है?
नीलम देवी।
नीलम जी, आप कहाँ रहती हैं?
अम्बलपाल बर्थ में।
ये परगवाल सेक्टर?
हाँ, परगवाल सेक्टर में।
आप क्या करते हैं, हाउस वाइफ है?
हाँ, हाउस वाइफ।
कल से आप यहाँ पे कब आए हो? यहाँ
रात को आए थे।
अच्छा।
हाँ।
क्या बोला गया, आपको क्यों लाया गया?
तहसीलदार आए थे, उन्होंने बोला कि आप जहाँ से भाग जाओ, हम बस भेज रहे हैं, तो बस भेजी उन्हें, तो रात को हम इधर शिफ्ट हो गए फिर। अच्छा। हाँ, हालात बहुत खराब है उधर, इसलिए हम इधर आ गए। हाँ, रात को आए थे।
तो यहाँ पे फैसिलिटीज हैं?
हाँ, अभी खाना खुना बन रहा है अभी।
Viewers, at the top of noon, big breaking news coming in. We have now some details about what Ajit Doval has briefed the Prime Minister about. Let's go across to Arun Dhata. Top sources on the meeting have spoken to him. It's a very, very important conversation, that one that almost ran on for 45 minutes. Arun, what can you tell us? Arun, can you hear me? Hello? Okay. We don't quite have Arun there, but we can tell you a little bit about what exactly went on between Prime Minister Modi and Mr. Doval. There was an assessment of the current situation at the LOC, which is really the point of immediate concern right now, given the fact that Pakistan has resorted to cowardly tactics of attacking unarmed Indian civilians across in the Uri sector, predominantly Mendar and other sectors. The Poonch sector has taken a bit of a beating. This meeting lasted for an hour. This is what government sources are telling us. There was also the Home Secretary there, part of that conversation. The assessment of the current situation at the LOC is discussed. There is heightened concern that Pakistan's retaliatory action might be actually targeted at civilian areas there. So obviously the talk about how to ensure that our defense systems are up and running to counter any Pakistan escalation along the LOC must have gone into details. The two gentlemen would have gone into details about that. Arun, can you brief us on exactly what transpired between the Prime Minister and Mr. Doval?
Well, Rahul, as we've been discussing about this all-important meeting of NSA Ajit Doval and Prime Minister Modi, which lasted for almost 1 hour, and we've got some source-based information about this meeting, in which, of course, both of them discussed about the current situation, which was very, very important. You've conducted and also, successful Operation Sindoor in Pakistan. You have targeted the terror hubs there, and therefore, after that, what are the measures, for retaliation which India is taking, and also, of course, what is the status at the LOC? We know that Pakistan has been violating a ceasefire. In fact, also, injuring few people, killing few people on the Indian side. So what are the retaliatory measures which India is taking, and also the heightened security which is needed at this point in time when India has conducted those strikes in different places? So all these things were discussed in this meeting, and also we're given to understand that the domestic situation is also discussed between both NS Ajit Doval and Prime Minister Modi as to what could be the potential things which could happen in India, how we are prepared for that, especially after this Operation Sindoor in Pakistan. So all these things were discussed in this meeting. That's what our sources are telling us at this point, Rahul, in this meeting, which lasted for almost 1 hour. In fact, as we speak, the Home Secretary is still inside the Prime Minister Modi's residence, and he's, of course, probably be talking about the domestic situation.
Let me also bring in Arunima on this input. Arun, let me just bring in Arunima on this input. The Home Secretary also briefed the Prime Minister on the situation along the international border. Arunima, what can you tell us? Was he part of that briefing with the Prime Minister and Mr. Ajit Doval?
Well, the Union Home Secretary has been meeting the top paramilitary DGs. Even yesterday evening, the Director Generals of the top forces briefed him. He's been in constant communication, and the situation along the international border is quite volatile. That's why Home Minister also chaired a meeting with Chief Ministers of the border states. And then all over last night, there were artillery firing along the line of control. International border so far has not seen any escalation. But in Uri, in Poonch, there was artillery firing. So the Home Secretary, we are told, has apprised the Prime Minister about the situation all along Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Gujarat, Rajasthan, about how the situation is unfolding, what steps are being taken to keep the civilians safe in these forward areas, and also, the intelligence that is being generated by the BSF forward parties as well about the border situation. All of this is part of what the Union Home Secretary has apprised the top leadership about. Like Arun Hanta is saying, that meeting is still on, and there is this sense within the intelligence agencies here that the next 24 to 36 hours are quite critical. Pakistan is still on the offensive. They're smarting after Operation Sindoor, so we cannot let our guard down. And I think that's why these meetings between NSA Doval, Home Secretary Govind Mohan and the Prime Minister assumed significance.
Okay, well, thank you, Arunima. Thank you very much for updating us. That was an interesting update there. Viewers, this is a situation that is extremely critical because Pakistan has now unambiguously told us that they are going to be striking. Tilak Deveshwar is there with us. We're going to try and break this down with him. We also have with us General Dhillon, and we also have with us General Shankar Prasad. All three gentlemen need no introduction. I want to first begin with you, General Dhillon. We've now heard from Pakistan that they're going to be striking. They've already, of course, retaliated, but in a cowardly manner across the LOC. So first tell me, why would they have chosen these civilian targets across the LOC first? That's the first thing that I want to get out of the way. Secondly, Pakistan now says that they're going to definitely retaliate. All their top politicians have said so. What is the nature of the retaliatory steps that Pakistan can take, given the fact that retaliation means like for like, but on Indian soil there are no terror targets, there are no terror camps?
Good afternoon, Rahul, and good afternoon to all the fellow panelists and your viewers. First of all, you made a statement that why Pakistan is targeting the civilian population. Pakistan targeted the civilian population in Pahalgam also. So there is nothing new from that country. They are used to these things. And coming to the point proper, why civilian population? Because when we carried out Operation Sindoor, we very specifically said that we are only targeting the terror camps because the terrorists hit us in Pahalgam. And we also said that we have not carried out any strike against the military installation or civilian population. Because a terror camp for terror act is something akin to what after the 9/11 USA did to Osama bin Laden in Abbottabad. When USA took out Osama bin Laden from Abbottabad, that was not an act of war. Similarly, when we take out Bahawalpur, Meerut, Muzaffarabad, Kotli, Chakamru and other camps, that is not an act of war. That is only retaliation when terrorists killed our citizens. Now, when Pakistan attacks our citizens or our military installations, that would be the initiation of war or the act of war. Now, if Pakistan does that, which against the civilians is already doing, if it does it to our military installations, that would be the initiation of war, and India will be well within its right to reciprocate or retaliate in any manner which India deems fit. So this has to be made very clear. First step should come from Pakistani side about initiation of war, and thereafter, when India strikes back, the going up the escalatory ladder will also be the onus on Pakistan military and Pakistan state. And as of now, they are targeting the civilian population just to keep the country in a happy mood that yes, we are doing something. They are not in a position to target the military installations straight away, but as and when or if and when they strike our military installations, they should be very clear they have initiated the war. And two nuclear countries going for war is the first time in our history. So that must be understood if we take out the Kargil, which was a limited war. So if we understand this and if the world understands this, the world must know a terrorist state which has got the nuclear weapons is initiating a war against a country which is fourth largest economy, 1/6 of the world population, and a growing economy, and a peace-loving country, a biggest democracy in the world, which has never initiated a war in 5,000 years of its civilization. So, first comment, Rahul, that much for me.
Okay, that is interesting, the distinction that you have made there, because fundamentally, at what level, Tilak Deveshwar, will we retaliate if these civilian casualties continue? After all, civilian lives matter, and civilians were killed in Pahalgam. So I don't know if we've just factored in limitless civilian casualties to say, well, that is, collateral and that is expected to happen. Is that so? Or there is going to be a point where we say, okay, enough is enough. This is, war by another means.
Absolutely, Rahul. Because as I mentioned yesterday also in your show, Pakistan does not have any good targets in India because there are no terror training camps.
Okay,
so they have taken that cowardly.
I need to interrupt because there's some very big news that has come in, Tilak Deveshwar. We've got news, viewers, that spark projectiles have been found in 2 regions in Punjab. And based on the markings and recent reports, the object is likely debris from a PL-15E air-to-air missile. Specifically, it's speculated to be a part of the missile's motor section. This debris was found on the Indian side of the border after a reported air engagement between India and Pakistan. So this is very big news. Akash joins us for more on this. Akash, what can you tell us? This is massive.
So this projectile, in fact, there are a number of parts that have been found by the, locals there. In fact, in the Amritsar area and the nearby areas, we have been learning that nearby borders, these things, in fact, this debris has been found. We are still not sure as to what exactly it is, if it is a part of any missile, or, it was some other ammunition. Yes, in fact, the images are somewhere indicating that this is a part of some missile. And, there are reports suggesting that this is possibly a Chinese missile, though we have not got any sort of confirmation on it, Rahul. But this is huge, given the fact that we know that how Pakistan has been trying, after the attacks and is frustrated and, want to attack several sort of infrastructure within the country here in India. And we know that how our air defense systems are very much ready and very much thwarting all those attempts. But this one, being in Amritsar or the nearby areas is somewhere suggesting that Pakistan now wants to, open different theaters as well. Initially, they were targeting Jammu and Kashmir by ceasefire violations. We have been reporting that how they have opened artillery fire, and now they are also, in fact, trying these tactics in Punjab, the western border, where we have, BSF very much deployed, and also, battalions of Indian Army. Rahul.
Okay, so this is important. You're saying that the markings seem to be suggesting that these have been munitions that have been supplied by China. Could you elaborate on that? What are these markings that we're talking about?
Again, Rahul, I have no confirmation on it, but yes, there are several sort of air defense systems, in Pakistan that are supplied by, China. Remember, we are using S-400, and in counter to that, China had earlier supplied, some air defense system to Pakistan. The reports, and in fact, the experts, I had a word with several sort of experts, and I had, in fact, shared these pictures with them. They are somewhere saying that this shows that this is some Chinese weapon. Again, Rahul, I have no confirmation, no independent confirmation to that.
Okay, so what do you put these parts that have been found? What do you make of this information that has come? Because are you suggesting that Pakistan perhaps launched projectiles against India, missile systems? Are these? I mean, what are we supposed to infer from this?
Rahul, as far as, India and, Pakistan are concerned, so we know that how day before yesterday, night, in fact, India, in fact, launched attacks on 9, infrastructure that were belonging to terrorists there. And, at that point in time, we know that how our jets were even scrambled. While Pakistan was caught sleeping and India successfully, carried out those strikes, after that, we are learning that air defense systems of Pakistan fired some missiles towards the jets that were, airborne. Now, since we have no confirmation of any sort of dogfight, that's why we are assuming that these missiles were to target, these jets within, the territory of India. Also, there is a possibility that they wanted to target some military infrastructure, in cities like Amritsar, Bhatinda, or nearby areas. While, it is publicly available that where we have our, military infrastructure, then, they possibly have used their Chinese weapons and platforms to, launch these strikes, but these attempts were thwarted, and in fact, they got failed. Possibly, this is the reason why we have found these debris, nearby the fields in Amritsar and Bhatinda. In fact, local residents went there, reached there, in fact, found these things. We are not sure if it was it was launched via drones, or if it was, launched via an air defense system that China, that possibly Pakistan is using, and that has been supplied from China, Rahul.
Okay, so let's just go through some of these facts. The fine print seems to suggest that there are markings. The markings are P15E122203023. And recent reports indicate that the object is a likely debris from a PL-15E air-to-air missile. Specifically, it's speculated to be a part of the missile's motor section. This is what we are being told. This debris was found on the Indian side of the border after reported air engagement between India and Pakistan. There's been some talk that there was an attempt perhaps to hit targets in Punjab. Now, Arun Dhata had also talked a little bit about a meeting between Prime Minister Modi and, of course, the NSA, Mr. Doval, a short while back. Perhaps that meeting might have been about a Pakistan attempt to target some positions here in India. Of course, all of this is speculation, but Akash giving us this update, a very significant update. Akash, this would constitute, obviously, some sort of a cross-border retaliation by Pakistan if what you're saying is true. Talk us through some of these Chinese-made missiles and the context in which they would have perhaps been used.
Right. So you have mentioned about PL-15. Let me give you some context of PL-15, because in fact the social media, posts are suggesting that this is possibly the debris of PL-15. PL-15 is air-to-air missile, Rahul, was supplied to Pakistan, if I'm not wrong, in January or February this year only. And, since Pakistan is using JF-17 jets, India launched these strikes. So possibly this is in fact one PL-15 in fact, the part of PL-15 that was launched from JF-17. Other than that, we have SD-10, CM-400 as well. These are all Chinese missiles that were, in fact, supplied to Pakistan. And we know this for a fact that 80 to 85% of Pakistani defense equipment, belong to China. And this is the reason why, there are speculations. Though, agencies have reached there, they have, in fact, taken this particular thing, in their custody. They will, of course, be analyzing it as to what it is. But yes, it is definitely a missile. And experts are suggesting that this can be a part of PL-15, which is a very long-range air-to-air missile used by JF-17 of Pakistan, a Chinese missile that was possibly used by, Pakistan to counter the, Indian jets or to, attack the military establishment near Punjab and nearby areas.
Okay, this is very interesting. There's also more news coming in that explosions have been heard near Sharafi Goth, Karachi. Police confirms this is Pakistan media that is putting out these reports. Police have recovered metal fragments from the site. Nature of the blast is under investigation. Rescue and law enforcement teams have reached the scene. All of this also being communicated now. We don't quite know, viewers, what this blast might have been connected to, but we can definitely tell you there has been some information that has now been flowing thick and fast on the nature of a Pakistan potential retaliatory strike on Indian soil and using a Pakistani projectile, perhaps made in China. Let me go across to Siddhant for the Karachi news that we have just reported. Siddhant, over to you.
Well, that's right, Rahul. In fact, this is the second time we are hearing from Pakistani media that, again, there is an explosion which has taken place at Sharafi Goth in Karachi. In fact, the SSP of that particular area has confirmed to the local media. Police has recovered metal fragments from the site. Nature of the blast is still under investigation. Rescue and law enforcement teams have reached the scene. Rahul, this morning, similar reports emerged from Lahore, where we were told by Pak media that 3 explosions were heard and there was a panic and people came rushing out of their houses. Perhaps after that, there is pin drop silence, no chatter. And now this is the second time we are getting to know from the Pak media that explosion is heard in Sharafi Goth area of Karachi. The SSP, Superintendent of Police, has confirmed this to the Pakistani media, local media. So we really don't have a clear picture whether it's some kind of a psyops that military of Pakistan is playing, perhaps, or what these explosions were all about. Because after initial report, there is a blanket silence.
Okay,
no chatter
so just
at
stay
all.
on with me.
So
We'll come back to you. We'll circle back to these 2 reports, viewers, in just a few moments. We also have our experts, of course, and we're going to take this up with some of them. But I want to quickly now change focus to the political aspect of the conversations that are happening in India. All-party meeting between the opposition and the government being helmed there by Rajnath Singh and Amit Shah. Now, there in that meeting, Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge has questioned the Prime Minister's absence at a time such as this. Payal, there with us. Payal, what can you tell us? This is important. Okay, we're going to be connected to Payal in just a few moments. Remember, viewers, before this particular meeting began, spokespeople of the Congress party had begun to say that the Prime Minister needs to be at this meeting because he has to send a wider message to the rest of the world about India's intent and that his presence will bring everyone together. It will be sending out a message of unity, etc., etc. So there was a bit of a controversy brewing before that. People were questioning why the Prime Minister needed to be there when enough interlocutors on his behalf were already present in this particular meeting. And of course, the need of the hour is for the Prime Minister to take stock of an imminent strike that Pakistan is threatening. So he's better served actually trying to defend the country than trying to explain to the opposition why this particular strike and how it has been received in the international sphere. So I want to go across to Payal. Payal, this is an important interjection by the Congress president. Where is this coming from?
Not just on the expected lines, Rahul. Just about last time also when the all-party meeting happened right after the attacks, back then also Mallikarjun Kharge had to ask the government as to why the Prime Minister was not present on a very serious issue like this, because this concerns the nation on the whole. And if the attempt is being made by the government to in fact reach out to all the opposition party, then of course the presence of the Prime Minister was very, very important. And Mallikarjun Kharge, we are given to understand, cited to his own example, saying that not just is he the floor leader in the Rajya Sabha, but he's also the Congress party's president. So that's the reason, looking at the seriousness of the issue, both Rahul Gandhi and him have come for the meeting. To which, of course, back then also the government, ministers, whether it's Rajnath Singh or Amit Shah, clearly said that their being present is equivalent to the Prime Minister's presence, given the fact that they are part of his team and they signify his team as well. So there, back then also Mallikarjun Kharge said, what if whatever we are saying gets lost in transition? What about that as well? That is where the matter really ended. But when they came out in the open, Mallikarjun Kharge did briefly mention this, but they largely came up with the argument saying that they do not want to speak in different voices. They want to speak in a unified voice. So that's a very important message that Mallikarjun Kharge and the Congress party wanted to really say. But this is on the expected line, because Mallikarjun Kharge had hinted even earlier that he would in fact question as to why the Prime Minister is not present on a serious issue like this. But probably many on the Treasury benches will argue that the government has got representation in 5 to 6 ministers. JP Nadda, you have Amit Shah, Rajnath Singh, you also have Kiran Rijiju, you have Nirmala Sitharaman, Dr. Jaishankar. 6 ministers are there. So which is good enough, for the opposition parties to feel happy that the whole of the government is there.
Okay, this is very, very interesting. We'll take a very short break, viewers. Controversy brewing, a political controversy that is detracting really from India's attention. And of course, the Prime Minister's attention to more pressing matters at hand. This can all be sort of saved for another day. But nonetheless, politics sometimes can be a bane. Viewers, we'll take a short break. When we return, more on those projectiles that were recovered.
सस्ते ही वाले
फारूक साहब, क्या माहौल है आज, जो माहौल हालात बने हैं उसमें कितना आपको मतलब ऐसा पैनिक है, कुछ यहाँ पे लोग डरे हुए हैं?
जो कल रात को शीलिंग हुई ना, उसमें थोड़ा डर लोगों में आ गया। अचानक हुआ ना ये, उससे कुछ जो छोटे बच्चे जिनका कुछ था ऊपर श्रीनगर में या वाराणसी में डेरे वेरे थे, वो चले गए। बाकी जो बेचारे गरीब गुरबा, वो क्या मजदूर क्या जाएगा उधर, बैठे हैं घरों में। हाँ, तो उसके बाद तो शांति है। रात में शांति यहाँ पर है।
तो नुकसान भी काफ़ी हुआ है, लोगों के घर तबाह हो गए हैं, कुछ लोग जख्मी भी हुए।
इस्लामाबाद में हमने सुना, इस्लामाबाद में हुए हैं जी, वहाँ जख्मी भी कुछ हुए हैं। इधर लगामा में एक पड़ा है कोई गोला, इस तरह मतलब जगह जगह पड़े हैं ये। तो बाकी तो सेफ ही है तकरीबन सारा इधर।
Since Pakistan has opened artillery fire at the LOC, there are families who have in fact moved from the areas close to LOC to the safer areas. In fact, some of the families have come to the hotels in the hinterland where they are away from the shelling. And we have these 2-3 individuals, in fact 2-3 families who have come here. They can afford it, and that's why they have chosen this hotel to stay away from that firing that is happening and is impacting lives of civilians there. I'll try to talk to them as to what are the kind of problems that they face, and also as far as the shelling is concerned. So what is the timing, what did they notice, and what happened last night? आपका नाम क्या है मैम?
बीबी फातिमा।
फातिमा जी, मुझे सबसे पहले तो बताइए कि रात आर्टिलरी फायर हुआ?
हाँ जी।
और बताया जा रहा है कि काफी खतरनाक था पिछले दिनों में।
बहुत खतरनाक।
पिछले सालों में ऐसा देखा नहीं?
ऐसा नहीं देखा।
तो आप लोगों ने फिर डिसाइड किया कि वहाँ से यहाँ आ जाएंगे?
यहाँ आ गए इधर ही।
अच्छा,
हाँ।
कौन सा गांव है आपका?
इस्लामाबाद।
जो बिल्कुल
पूरी इस्लामाबाद।
पूरी इस्लामाबाद। हाँ। अगर हम बात करें आर्टिलरी फायर की, तो गाँव में कहीं आग वाग भी लगी है सुना हमने?
लगी आग लगी, मकान गिर गए।
और जो लोग हैं वो क्या, आप तो होटल में आ गए, आप तो कहें कि थोड़ा सा फाइनेंशियली स्टेबल हैं तो इसलिए पैसे दे
आ गया।
जी। और लोग कहाँ गए फिर?
उधर ही हैं।
क्या समाधान है, आपको लगता है कब तक बंद हो जाएगी ये फायर?
उस गला का कोई पता नहीं है, होएगी या नहीं होएगी, उस गला का कोई पता नहीं है।
कितने बजे, रात कितने बजे लगभग शुरू?
2 बजे।
2 बजे शुरू हुई?
2 बजे शुरू हुई है।
और कब तक चली फिर?
वो 6 बजे तक।
6 बजे तक चली?
6 बजे तक। 6 बजे तक।
6 बजे तक चली। डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की तरफ से कोई मदद की गई, डीएम वगैरह या डीसी वगैरह आए कि आप इधर शिफ्ट हो जाओ या कहीं और चले जाओ?
नहीं आए।
नहीं आए?
अजय नहीं आए।
अच्छा, कितने रुपए का रूम है मैम? ये यहाँ पर आप आए हैं, कितने रुपए का रूम मिल रहा है?
1500 पर डे।
1500 पर डे। तो कितने दिनों तक आपको लगता है कि आप रह पाएंगे यहाँ?
मैक्सिमम 5-6 दिन तक।
मैक्सिमम 5-6 दिन। आपको लगता है 5-6 दिन बाद स्थिति सुधर जाएगी?
मुश्किल ही।
So to ensure that the forces are able to take out any civilian who is in harm's way, the preparedness is there. Let me show you. These are the vehicles kept at the Government Degree College, Baramulla, where hundreds of vehicles, mini taxis have been kept available under a contingency plan to ensure that any person who feels stranded, or if there is a need to relocate people living close to the line of control, that these vehicles prove a critical lifeline. Several of these...
Big headlines at the 12:30 viewers. Very important news. A 1-hour meeting between Prime Minister and NSA. A meeting at 7 LKM. Home Secretary and DG also present. Discussions held on current security situation. Viewers, also in the capital, Rajnath Singh has briefed all parties on developments of the last 36 hours as part of the all-party meeting. And also, viewers, Congress and TMC question the Prime Minister's absence from the all-party meeting, which is striking a discordant note at a time when India needs to show political unity. Moving on, top government sources have told CNN News 18 that Operation Sindoor only phase 1 of the multi-level plan. This is very, very important. Clearly a response to Pakistan if Pakistan decides to attack us is ready, viewers. Another big headline, top government sources have told us that Pakistan is deliberately targeting Gurdwaras in Poonch. An air defense system has intercepted Pakistan projectiles in 2 regions of Punjab. More details on that ensue. Pakistan projectiles have been found, viewers, as I told you, in 2 regions of Punjab. The object is likely debris from a PL-15E air-to-air missile. Specifically, it's speculated to be a part of the missile's motor section. This debris was found on the Indian side of the border after reported air engagement between India and Pakistan. The PL-15E is a Chinese-made missile, and its appearance in this context suggests it was potentially used by Pakistani forces. Akash Sharma, to give us more details on this. Akash, just break this down for us, not only the weaponry, but also the potential use. Many people are speculating whether Amritsar was on target, and within Amritsar, 2 high-value targets.
Right. Rahul, the information that I have is that this is, being used in JF-17 jets. Pakistan is using this missile in JF-17, and possibly this was fired from a JF-17. Now, there are 2 possible scenarios. One, that they were, targeting some, maybe jet or a drone, or they were targeting one military infrastructure. The possibility of second scenario, is more favorable because of the fact that we know that how the entire operation day before yesterday was conducted within 25-30 minutes. And after that, only our jets were there in air to defend. And in fact, because a retaliation was expected, and that's the reason why we had our frontline jets, Rafale, Su-30 MKI, and also Mirage 2000 airborne. So JF-17 fired this missile, and in fact, yesterday we are learning that there is a possibility that last night also, they had fired a missile or have sent their drones, but we have no confirmation on that. Rahul, in that context only, I'll show you some visuals from here where I'm standing. This is the same village where day before yesterday I came before these strikes by India. There you are seeing Pakistani village, and I have been asked to not to step up from this third stair, because I have been told that then I'll be exposed to Pakistanis, and what they are doing, they are targeting civilians. Whenever they are seeing any sort of movement, they are firing artillery here, and that's the reason why, in fact, people, the residents are in fear. There you have windows. Rajesh Bharadwaj will show you there. People are watching us. In fact, have been asking us to not to report from here. But then, I am standing just behind this particular building so that I'm not exposed to Pakistani. They are still resorting to ceasefire violation. They have been using artillery, and these, debris. In fact, the parts that we have found in Amritsar and in one area of Punjab, these in fact parts are possibly from PL-15 that their JF-17s are equipped with. We will of course be getting a confirmation from our agencies once they are done with the the sort of analysis that they are doing.
Right.
But yes, it is concerning because Amritsar can be one of their targets. This is what in fact experts are suggesting.
Okay, let me thanks very much, Akash. Take cover, please, because the last thing we want is for you to be in harm's way. I want to go straight across to General Dhillon and Tilak Devasher. General Dhillon, what do you make of this information that is flowing into the channel about these projectiles that might have been fired from a Pakistani craft, the JS-17?
Rahul, this small little piece, unless it is analyzed by the experts and found out that what exactly is this component and which weapon system it could be from, basically from the markings and whatever little electronic things are available on that. But having said that, this could well be of a missile which has been intercepted in the air and then the debris will fly all over. Or it could well be a missile which is, was fired for some other reason and somewhere it has gone misfired or something like that. The missile may be found later, but these pieces which have been disposed of the missile before it is supposed to be hitting or whatever.
Okay.
So as of now, too premature. And I will also say it could well be something of a totally different thing.
Okay.
It may not be a military hardware at all. So we need to wait and watch. But this type of a thing found in the plains of Punjab, where some high-value targets exist, it is a matter which security forces or the defense installation, the higher up, would be looking at very, very serious.
Okay. Tilak Devasher.
So this story needs to be followed.
Okay. We'll follow it, of course. Tilak Devasher. Yes. I think you're on mute, sir. Yeah. Yeah.
Agree with what General Dhillon has said, that we need to have further examination, forensic examination. And therefore, I would advise that this is being handled by so many different people. It would lose its integrity in case it would get contaminated. So it's better that it is given to the experts straight away, who are then able to pronounce judgment on it, rather than laymen trying to speculate that it's part of a missile or it is part of what. So I would recommend that. But also there were some reports, again not confirmed, about a JF-17 having been brought down. Is this part of that or whatever? But the point, a larger point I was making is that I'm surprised that Pakistan did not react last night. And they have adopted the cowardly way of opening up against civilian targets on the LOC. This shows, to my mind, that there is some sort of a debate or a problem within the Pakistan army. Normally, whenever India does something, within 24 to 36 hours, they immediately react to show their people that they are on the ball, that, they have equivalence. Now, 36 hours have passed since the Indian attack at 1 o'clock on 7th of May. Yet, we don't see the kind of reaction that Pakistan would have liked to have demonstrated that they have done. I find that surprising, and I also think, I'm just speculating, I don't have any evidence, but we need to watch very carefully about the going-ons within the Pakistan army and what is it that they are planning, if at all they do something, let's say in another 24 hours. Not doing something, people in Pakistan are already questioning the leadership of Asim Munir. And many people are saying that Asim Munir needs to step down and get somebody else who can respond to what India has done. They're saying, 9 missiles or 9 targets have been hit in mainland, 4 of them in mainland Punjab. And Pakistan has not been able to prevent it.
Okay, so I'll come back to that point. But I want to bring in General Shankar Prasad. He's been waiting patiently. Thank you, sir. And sorry to have kept you waiting. There was some breaking news that I had to come up to grips with. But very quickly, General Prasad, Pakistan hasn't still struck. Tilak Devasher is a little surprised. Are you surprised at all that they haven't struck back?
Well, first of all, let me just start my comment by saying we are a professional army, they are a terrorist army. So they will try and do as little as possible from the regular warfare point of view, but they'll continue to do what terrorist armies do. And that's exactly what they're doing in Kashmir. And across the line of control, they're targeting civilians and killing civilians and breaking their properties and huts. That's the act of terrorism. Now, as far as the international border is concerned, you've just shown a projectile, which I don't want to comment on. We have to find out what it is. The point is this: is Pakistan going to react? Pakistan with conventional war machinery? I'm afraid I don't think they will take that risk, because today Indian armed forces are fully prepared, with having got good information about their deployments, etc., over the last 15 days through satellite imageries and various other intelligence organizations. Today, Rahul, we have complete details of every single formation of Pakistan Army's current locations. Therefore, we must have taken countermeasures for that. If any of those get activated, they'll get a bloody nose, and they know it. The only option they've left is to do terrorist activities, whether across Amritsar, which is a very, very big mistake by them, or across the line of control, which they've been doing. The answer to this is simple. As a regular army, we've done it in the past, we need to do it again, is to give them a good answer by what we call a fire assault. We've done that in the past, we've got the weaponry to do it. We need to go and destroy their positions on the line of control, their bunkers, their automatic weapons, etc. And secondly, we have locating batteries, and those batteries or those artillery guns which the Pakistanis are firing at a civilian target can also be located by locating batteries, and therefore they need to be neutralized as well. And to neutralize them, we have countermeasures, and if required, we may be able to use even air power for it without having to cross the international border. So one, a defensive approach to J&K, and one, an offensive approach to J&K. Offensive approach is to carry out a fire assault across the line of control onto enemy bunkers and positions. And the other one is, of course, to fire some missiles without crossing the border, because we have the technology, we have the equipment to do that. We just displayed it the other day in Sindhur. As far as the international border is concerned, I want to once again make a mention that it'll be very stupid if they try to knock it down, because another thing I want to bring to your notice, Rahul, is this, that the Pakistan army is not really well trained these days for conventional military operations. They train themselves for terrorist operations because that's their weapon, as taught to them by Zahul Haq. So their total focus on military operations is toward terrorism. They really don't bother much about the conventional military operations, which we all learn and practice in the Indian Army. So there is a subtle difference. So we have to look at it very carefully, but this is a foolish enemy. This foolish enemy can do anything that very unnatural or unexpected.
Okay, so this is a very interesting thesis that you have presented, General Shankar Prasad. Let me bounce this off General Dhillon also. General Dhillon, you heard General Shankar Prasad. Of course, Tilak Deveshwar says he's surprised that the retaliation hasn't still come. Now, we don't know, maybe last night they tried and maybe they failed. But what is your reasoning behind this?
Rahul, as General Shankar Prasad has said, and he understands the psyche of our Pakistani military senior leadership very well. And I can agree with him, and I will agree with him, because Pakistan is not a military, they don't think with a strategical mindset. They think, Pakistani military thinks with a typical Pakistani Punjabi Musliman mindset. And that typical Pakistani Punjabi Musliman mindset is, इसने मेरे साथ ऐसे कैसे कर दिया, मैं इसको दिखाता हूँ. They don't have a
Okay, sir, more breaking news coming in. Clearly, things are hotting up once again. More breaking news coming in. BSF has killed a Pakistani intruder on the Indo-Pak border in Firozpur. Arunima has more on this. Arunima, update us, please. What's happening?
So the information that we have is that there was an intruder in Pakistan's Firozpur, Punjab, Indian Punjab's Firozpur area. A Pakistani intruder tried to enter. This was the Lakha Singh Wala BOP. This was the Lakha Singh Wala border outpost where this intruder was spotted. The BSF men on duty called out to him, tried telling him to stop, and there was warning given. But he continued to move international border. and subsequently BSF acted as per the operating procedure, and the intruder was killed. Currently, efforts are on to identify him. This is not the first incident that has happened. In the last 1 week, BSF has been on heightened alert, and this is the second such incident where the intrusion attempt has been done in Firozpur, and therefore in this case also BSF is into the drill of seeking any identification document or trying to find out why this Pakistani was trying to enter India via Firozpur.
Okay, so this is now one in I think series of 3 or 4 such attempts, isn't it, Arunima?
Yes, like I told you, in Firozpur and in Punjab in general, what has happened over the last 1 week is at least one intruder has been identified. His identity card was Pakistani identity document was found on him. He's been grilled by multi-agencies. Then there were two, again in Punjab only, there were 2 Indians who were found to be spying for Pakistan. And then this third incident where an intruder was trying to cross over and did not stop even after warning. Indications that we are being given, Rahul, is that Punjab is really heating up. While the initial focus was on Kashmir, not so much in the Jammu division, but Rajouri, Poonch along the line of control, that's where the initial focus was. Now it seems Punjab is also really heating up. Bhagwant Mann has been spoken to by the Home Minister. Prime Minister is monitoring himself. He's being apprised by the Director General of BSF, by the Home Secretary. The focus currently, I think, is on Amritsar, Firozpur, the entire border area that Punjab shares after what has happened in Bahawalpur, where Indian Armed Forces have given a bloody nose to Jaish-e-Mohammed's seminary, which is in Bahawalpur, in Pakistani part of Punjab.
True. There was also a conversation between the two forces about an Indian hostage. Where has that gone, and are we going to have renewed contact?
Yes, that's also a tricky situation that we are in. One BSF personnel, he inadvertently crossed over a day after Pahalgam happened. He was part of the Kisan Patrol. Kisan Patrol essentially is BSF, sends one personnel of it when ahead of the fence. There are still areas which are part of the farmland of Punjabi farmers, and they go to harvest their land. So when such movement happens of the Kisan ahead of the fence, BSF sends its personnel. So Constable Sahu was part of that Kisan Patrol. Somehow he crossed over into the Pakistani territory, and it has been almost 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks now. Pakistani Rangers have been asked to come to a number of flag meetings. Right. They have refused to release Constable Sahu. But we are told even in Rajasthan, a Ranger was taken by BSF into custody. Though officially, the force is very tight-lipped on that matter too.
Okay, thank you, Arunima. Thank you very much. Those comprehensive debates, updates rather, coming through from our reporters all over the country today. This has been an interesting last 45 minutes. A lot of developments. Viewers, more reports coming in from that very hot LOC where there has been, well, what can one say, viewers? Pakistani terrorism. That's all one can call it, terrorism, because they're striking at our civilians who are defenseless and unarmed.
That how devastation and shelling has caused widespread destruction and damage to the infrastructure. This is one such house in Uri where you can see the window has come out, the glass panels are shattered, and this is where a shell landed in Uri. And you will also notice that in this particular house, we'll try to go inside, that people have now started cleaning up. But look at the marks and scars all around the house and the adjacent house buildings, which tells you the story of how devastating it must have been. Look at those marks. Marks are a reminder of how the situation would have been at a time when there was massive shelling which took place. There are marks all over. Look at this. Shrapnels from the artillery shell landed here and then caused all of the destruction of this house. It is several kilometers away from the line of control, but as we were saying, there's an attempt being made to target the establishments of the civilian population as well. The vehicle parked outside, you will also notice extensive damage caused to it. The battery also shattered, and its glass is also broken. Look at this. There's a complete hole in the vehicle, as you see. And God has had some mercy on the civilians living here, that they were not injured. Even the adjacent house, you look at that. You also have scars all over the house, which has been damaged, and the house has completely had a major damage that this house has suffered. We are told that around 21 houses have so far been damaged. Now, if you even go out, we'll do a little extensive, show you the detail and look of how it looks like. The entire house, the entire thing has shattered. This is the rooftop which was protecting the outside door area, and everything has shattered.
भारत सरकार के ऑपरेशन संदूर के बाद बुखलाए पाकिस्तान ने राजौरी जिला के कई स्थानों पर फायरिंग की है। राजौरी का मंजाकोट सेक्टर हो, नौशहरा सेक्टर हो या फिर केरी सेक्टर, इन तीनों सेक्टर में पाकिस्तान की तरफ से गोले दागे गए और रिहायशी इलाकों को निशाना बनाया गया। मंजाकोट सेक्टर के अंतर्गत आने वाले 5 घरों को नुकसान पहुंचा है, जबकि 3 लोग घायल हुए हैं, जिन्हें जीएमसी एसोसिएटेड हॉस्पिटल राजौरी में इलाज के लिए भर्ती करवाया गया है। इन इलाकों में रहने वाले लोगों के अंदर खौफ जरूर है, लेकिन खौफ के साथ साथ लोगों के हौसले बुलंद हैं। लोगों का कहना है कि पाकिस्तान को जो इंडिया ने जवाब दिया है उसकी ज़रूरत पाकिस्तान को थी, और पहलगाम आतंकी हमले के बाद हम ये मांग कर रहे थे कि पाकिस्तान को करारा जवाब दिया जाए, और केंद्र सरकार ने करारा जवाब देकर पाकिस्तान को सबक सिखाया है। लोगों का कहना है कि उन्हें सेफर प्लेस पर शिफ्ट किया जाए, यानी सुरक्षित स्थानों पर लोगों को भेजा जाए, क्योंकि पाकिस्तान अपनी नापाक हरकतों से बाज नहीं आ रहा है और फिर वो इस तरह की हरकत कर सकता है, जिससे लोगों का कहना है कि उन्हें सेफ प्लेसेस पर शिफ्ट किया जाए। हालांकि जिला प्रशासन की तरफ से कुछ लोगों को सुरक्षित स्थानों पर भेजा जरूर गया है, मगर बहुत से गाँव के लोग अभी भी ऐसे हैं जो वहीं पर रह रहे हैं। उनका कहना है कि बंकर की कमी भी कहीं ना कहीं उन्हें आज परेशान कर रही है, यानी बंकर ना होने की वजह से भी वो परेशान हैं। बहरहाल लोगों के जो हौसले हैं वो बुलंद हैं और लोग पाकिस्तान को इस मुंहतोड़ जवाब दिए जाने को लेकर काफ़ी खुश नज़र आ रहे हैं।
भारत ने कल पाकिस्तान में स्थित आतंकी जो अड्डे थे उनको निशाना बनाया, जिसके बाद बुखलाया हुआ पाकिस्तान उन्होंने पुंछ सिटी को निशाना बनाया और ऐसे कई जो है स्ट्रक्चर्स थे, जो मॉन्यूमेंट्स थे, लोगों के रिहायशी मकान थे, दुकानें थी, जहां पे आके शेल फटे और काफ़ी नुकसान जान माल का यहां पे हुआ। मैं यहां पे इस वक्त सिंह सभा गुरुद्वारा है ये पुंछ का, और यहां भी कल आके एक शेल फटा है और आपको बताता हूं कि कितना नुकसान इससे हुआ है। और पाकिस्तानी फौज ने ना मंदिर, ना गुरुद्वारा, ना कोई दुकान, ना मकान, रिहायशी इलाकों में आम जो लोग हैं उनको कल निशाना बनाया और एक के बाद एक गोले यहाँ पे दागे। ये आप देखिए कि इस जगह पे कल शेल जो है पाकिस्तान से जो आया वो फटा और इससे जो है काफ़ी नुकसान जो है यहाँ गुरुद्वारे की प्रॉपर्टी को पहुंचा है। आप देख सकते हैं कि जो जितनी भी विंडोज हैं ये टूट चुकी हैं, यहाँ सब जो है आप नीचे देखेंगे तो ये यहाँ पे वॉल थी वो टूट चुकी है और ये तबला आपको सामने दिखाएंगे, इसमें भी सुराख हो चुका है। काफ़ी नुकसान जो है वो यहाँ पे हुआ। हमारे साथ यहाँ जो इस गुरुद्वारे की देखरेख करते हुए मौजूद हैं। कितना नुकसान हुआ, कितने बजे ये हुआ और उस वक्त कितने लोग यहाँ मौजूद थे?
यहाँ पे वैसे गुरुद्वारे का जो हमारा सारी प्रोग्राम 6:30 खत्म हो जाता है, उसके बाद जो है सारे तकरीबन चले गए थे, संगत का कोई बंदा था नहीं यहाँ पे। उसके बाद जैसे 8 बजे के करीब यहाँ पे शेलिंग हुई, शेल पड़ा यहाँ पे, नीचे आकर देख ही रहे वैसे। तो उसमें ये जो टूट फूट ये गुरुद्वारा का नुकसान हो जो आपके सामने देखो आप, उसमें क्या कि जैसे जान माल का कोई नुकसान नहीं हुआ उसमें।
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with CNN News 18. I'm Shivani Gupta, and over the next 1 hour, we'll get you the latest that we're tracking in the aftermath of Operation Sindoor. First up, let's take a quick check of the top 10 headlines we're tracking. 1 hour meeting between the NSA and the Prime Minister at 7 LKM. Home Secretary and DG were also present. Prime Minister apprised about the situation along the international border. Centre's all-party meet on Operation Sindoor concludes. Rajnath Singh briefs all parties on developments of the last 36 hours. Congress and TMC question Prime Minister's absence at this all-party meet. Top government sources tell CNN News 18 Operation Sindoor only phase 1 of a multi-level plan. Suspected debris of Pak projectiles recovered in Punjab. Pakistan media reports explosions near Karachi, metal fragments at site. External Affairs Minister meets Saudi counterpart, Iran's FM in New Delhi. And Trump offers to end India-Pakistan tensions. As Pakistan contemplates retaliation, India stands ready. Top government sources have informed that Operation Sindoor is just phase 1 of a multi-level plan that India has in place. India will not attack civilian targets, as is very clear. However, if Indian civilians are targeted, India will not hesitate to launch another Operation Sindoor. The situation in Poonch, for example, is being closely monitored and a response will be given at an appropriate time. On the other hand, Pakistan Defence Minister Khwaja Asif, when confronted by CNN on their claims of shooting down 5 Indian jets, could only say it is all over social media. India's Operation Sindoor certainly caught Pakistan off guard. In exemplary strategic execution of the strike, specific diversions stumped Pakistan when the actual strike happened. Several events lined up and attended by cabinet ministers and even the Prime Minister himself led to Pakistan thinking that the attack was a few days away. For example, the WAVE summit attended by the Prime Minister in Mumbai, the commissioning of the Vizhingham International Transshipment Deepwater Multipurpose Seaport, announcement of the mock drill helped catch Pakistan off guard. India even declared the signing of the free trade deal with UK. The Prime Minister attended a media event on the eve of the operation. And MEA went about its business with dignitaries as usual. The NOTAM for exercises was only announced on the eve of the operation again for the next 2 days. ME and military also maintained strategic silence. For example, Indian External Affairs Ministry didn't even respond to Pakistan UNSC closed-door meeting.
Can you provide more detail? And is this the response that your army spokesman threatened, or is there further action to come? Let's start with this very specific allegation of 5 fighter jets shot down. Where's the evidence for that, sir?
It's all over the social media, on Indian social media, not on our social media. The debris of these jets fell into Indian occupied Kashmir, and it's all over Indian media today.
You're the defense
and they have
minister.
admitted their media has.
The reason to talk to you today, sir, is not to talk about content all over social media. I'm sorry. It's not to talk about content all over social media. I'm asking you very specifically for the evidence, for the detail. For example, was any Chinese equipment used by Pakistan to down these Rafale jets, as I understand you are alleging them to be?
There are no Chinese equipment. We have Chinese planes, JF-17 and JF-10. They are Chinese planes, but they are being manufactured, assembled in Pakistan now. We have very close to Islamabad, we have a facility over there where these planes are manufactured. And if India can buy planes from France and use them, we can also buy planes from China or Russia or United States or UK and use them. And let me say one thing. They have already admitted that the 3 planes were down.
Let's also break down how militarily India stunned Pakistan during these strikes with superior weapons in the skies. The Rafale, of course, the French twin-engine multi-role fighter aircraft was used. This was used to target terror camps in Pakistan. The Sukhoi Su-30 MKI, twin-engine heavy Russian fighter, the aircraft used for defense in this Operation Sindoor. Mirage 2000, the single-engine 4th-generation fighter jet, used to hit targets with precision ammunition. India used Storm Shadow or Scalp missiles. Anglo-French cruise missiles enabled the striking of targets from within Indian airspace itself. AASM Hammers, the French all-weather air-to-surface standoff weapon, provided flexibility for engaging fortified targets. And the Spice 2000 bomb, the Israeli-developed precise impact kit, which was used to precisely hit the targets as India managed. We're also getting some breaking updates now coming in. A projectile debris has been found in an open field in a border village of Amritsar district in Punjab. A projectile debris found in Amritsar in Punjab. Remember, lots of reports are coming in from these border areas, and there is a debris that has now been found. We'll of course try and get you more details of whether this belongs to the other side of the border. Pakistan on their part have been claiming that they've downed certain things, but they haven't really been managed to provide either any footage or any evidence. But on this side of the Indian border, a projectile debris has been found.
बिल्कुल मैं वही समझाने की कोशिश करता हूं कि ये बिल्कुल वो पुराना अमृतसर है। उसके अलावा जो अमृतसर शहर है वो बहुत बड़े हिस्से में फैल चुका है, लेकिन ये शहर नहीं बल्कि गांव है। अगर मैं पुलिस की बात करूं तो जो हिस्सा आप बात कर रहे हैं वो अमृतसर पुलिस कमिश्नरेट के अधीन आता है, जबकि आप देखिए यहाँ पर अब मिट्टी की एक ट्रॉली भरकर लाई जा रही है और उससे इसे डिफ्यूज नहीं, बिल्कुल राजा सांसी गांव जो है वो एयरपोर्ट की तरफ है, जबकि ये जो गांव है वो अमृतसर से जब पठानकोट की तरफ हम जाते हैं तो वहां पर ये गांव है जेठूवाल और मक्खन विंडी। तो अमृतसर का जो मजीठा विधानसभा क्षेत्र है उसके अधीन ये गांव आता है, जो विक्रम मजीठिया का जो विधानसभा क्षेत्र रहा है। अब उनकी पत्नी यहाँ से विधायिका हैं, तो उनके इलाके का ये गांव है, क्योंकि ये बिल्कुल देहात का इलाका है। जो आप बात कर रहे हैं वो जी बिल्कुल, क्योंकि अगर आप देखें तो ये खेत हैं, खेतों में किसानों की जो गेहूं की फसल थी उसकी कटाई हो चुकी है, और जिस तरीके से यहाँ पर आप मिट्टी की जो ट्रॉली देख रहे हैं, आर्मी के अधिकारी और जवान देख रहे हैं, तो अब इसको मिट्टी के साथ जो है ढक दिया जाएगा, उसके बाद इसे डिफ्यूज किया जाएगा। यानी कि जो सवाल आपका है वो बिल्कुल दुरुस्त है कि ये अभी फटा नहीं। अगर फटा होता तो जी बिल्कुल, अगर ये फटा होता तो शायद और निशान यहाँ पर इसके होते, और जो गड्ढा आप देख सकते हैं जिसमें क्योंकि धंस चुका है ये जो मिट्टी है नीचे, क्योंकि बरसात हो रही थी 1-2 दिनों से, तो गीली मिट्टी होने के कारण शायद ये
To my colleague Akash, who's also joining us. Akash, we're just playing out a live report coming in from News 18 as well from Amritsar. This is a projectile that has been found, a debris that has been found. It looks like it has not exploded. What more are you learning?
Shivani, the information that I've got is, the same, in fact, where I'm learning that this is possibly a part of PL-15 missile that JF-17 of Pakistan are using. They have in fact inducted these weapons in 2025 only, and this is a Chinese missile. Though, the analysis will happen and is happening, in fact, I'm learning, and only after that we'll get a confirmation if it is PL-15 or SD-10 or any other missile. But remember, when we talk JF-17, so there are also reports that Pakistan is very much using JF-17 to, in fact, launch an attack. And on the night when Operation Sindoor was launched, in fact, on that night, JF-17 were, airborne. And on that night, in fact, Pakistan had claimed, they had several claims that they have downed the aircraft, they have downed the Indian drone and everything else. But then this missile is basically an evidence that how they are trying to, trying the civilian areas. Initially, they were claiming that they have destroyed one army brigade. But that was fake news, in fact, fake information. And they are playing a narrative war. This particular projectile, the part of the missile, is possibly from PL-17. But other than PL-17, they have other Chinese missiles as well. They have SD-10, they have CM-400, and they have Ghaznavi, that is ballistic missile, which they claim is capable of carrying nuclear arsenal as well. They have Shaheen-1, of course, we know that. And they have Bawar cruise missile as well.
Akash, just stay with me. I'm going to come back to you for more analysis. Just stay with me. Rajiv Sharma from News 18 is also joining us. He was bringing us that live report. He's on the site. Rajiv, जरा और डिटेल में बताइए कि वहाँ पे ये अथॉरिटीज क्या कह रही हैं कि उनको इसके बारे में अभी क्या पता है, कब ये गिरा और कैसे हुआ?
बिल्कुल, जहां तक इसके गिरने की बात है तो कल रात को क्योंकि अमृतसर में कुछ धमाकों की आवाज़ भी सुनाई दी गई थी और ये भी कहा गया कि फाइटर जेट जो हैं उनकी आवाज़ हो सकती है, क्योंकि कल अगर मॉक ड्रिल और ब्लैकआउट की बात करें, पहले मैं तस्वीरें दिखा दूं कि ये आप देख सकते हैं कि एक रॉकेट का हिस्सा है जो कि ये बताया जा रहा है कि चाइनीज मेड ये रॉकेट है और पाकिस्तान की तरफ से इसे दागा गया था। हालांकि जो सीनियर ऑफिशियल यहाँ पर हैं, आर्मी के जो अधिकारी यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं, अमृतसर के जो एमपी हैं वो भी यहाँ पहुंचे हुए हैं, उनके साथ भी जो आर्मी के अधिकारियों की बातचीत हो रही है। तो दो जो रॉकेट या मिसाइल कहा जा रहा है, अभी तो जांच के बाद सारी चीजें स्पष्ट होगी, लेकिन अमृतसर के दो गांव हैं। एक जिस जगह हम इस समय मौजूद हैं ये अमृतसर का मक्खन विंडी गांव है और इसके बिल्कुल साथ लगता गांव है जेठूवाल, जहां से सुबह नौजवान जो हैं गांव के उनकी तरफ से कुछ तस्वीरें सोशल मीडिया पर अपलोड की जाती हैं और उसके बाद जब वो तस्वीरें वायरल हुई तो फिर यहाँ पर आके पता लगाने की कोशिश की गई कि आखिरकार किस जगह पर, हालांकि जो जेठूवाल गांव में रॉकेट मिला था उसे आर्मी ने अपने कब्जे में ले लिया था, लेकिन इसको अभी फिलहाल उसी जगह पर रखा गया जहां पर ये गिरा था, क्योंकि खेत हैं यहाँ पे किसानों के और बिल्कुल थोड़ी दूरी पर रिहायशी इलाका भी है। लेकिन जिस जगह पर ये जो रॉकेट गिरा है वो खुला इलाका है, खेत हैं किसानों की, जो गेहूं की फसल है उसकी कटाई हो चुकी है। तो अब ये भी कहा जा रहा है कि इसको डिफ्यूज करने के लिए जो है तो कुछ पुलिस की तरफ से कोई बात कही जा रही है, उनसे भी जानने की कोशिश करते हैं कि उनकी तरफ से क्या कुछ कहा जा रहा है, क्योंकि आर्मी की तरफ से इन्वेस्टिगेशन जो है वो की जा रही है। और यहाँ पर जो संबंधित पुलिस स्टेशन से जो अधिकारी यहाँ पहुंचे हैं वो क्या कुछ कह रहे हैं वो सुनने की कोशिश करते हैं।
डिफ्यूज करने ਲਈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵਾ ਐਕਸਪਰਟ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਆਰਮੀ ਦੇ, ਉਹ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਡਿਫਿਊਜ਼ ਕਰਨਗੇ। ਜੋ ਵੀ ਡਿਸੀਜਨ ਲੈਣਾ ਉਹ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਫਿਰ ਇਹਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵਾ ਉਹ ਡਿਫਿਊਜ਼ ਕਰਕੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਣਗੇ।
ਸਰ ਇੱਕ ਜੇਠੂਵਾਲ ਵੀ ਡਿੱਗੀ ਹੈ,
ਇਸ ਉਸੇ ਦਾ ਹੀ ਇਹ ਪੋਰਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ।
ਸਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੱਲ 5 ਧਮਾਕੇ ਜੇ ਹੋਏ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਨਾਲ ਤਾਲੁਕ
ਨਹੀਂ, ਇਹਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਤਲਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਉਹ ਧਮਾਕੇ ਮੌਕ ਡਰਿਲ ਸੀਗੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਇਹਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਤਲਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਮਿਡਨਾਈਟ ਡਿੱਗੀ ਆ, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਉੱਥੇ ਨਿਊਟਰਲਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰਤਾ 에ਅਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ।
ਕਿਹੜੇ ਪਿੰਡ 'ਚ ਡਿੱਗੇ ਸੀ?
So the authorities taking note of these projectiles, supposedly the Chinese-made ones from Pakistan that have been found in 2 villages in Amritsar. We're also getting some more breaking updates as far as the all-party meet concluded a short while ago is concerned. Sources have told CNN News 18 that Rahul Gandhi, the leader of opposition, raised the issue of the special session of parliament at this meeting. This has been a demand that the Congress party has been making over the last 10 days or so, but the government has not offered any response in this matter. Other parties are also believed to have supported this demand for a special session. This is something they've been wanting on the terror attack in Pahalgam and now, of course, on Operation Sindoor as well. On their part, the government has given details of Operation Sindoor, how precise strikes were carried out at 9 different locations and around 100 terrorists are believed to be killed. My colleague Payal is joining us with more on this. Payal, what's the view of the government on this demand by the Congress party for a special session?
Well, the government has not said anything in particular. We're given to understand that the government is yet to consider a demand that we, reported a few days ago as well. But today it was a very, very pleasant meeting where everybody came together on the same page for the cause of the larger cause of the country. And Rajnath Singh, who was of course chairing the meeting and also being the principal speaker, who was updating the political parties, he of course updated them about important things. He told them that yes, it's an ongoing operation, it's going forth. That it's a very, very important detail coming to the fore, and that's the reason we could not give you an elaborate presentation, is what they said to have said. But every political party, whether it was the Congress party or, the Asserting Owaisi, all of these parties have said one thing in common, Shivani, that we are with the country, we are with the government of the day, and Pakistan needs to be taught a lesson as well. So, many people in the government, especially the government floor managers, were telling us that, earlier they've seen a very aggressive Rahul Gandhi on various platforms, but today it was a very, very different approach, much, much more different than what they saw in the last all-party meeting 2 weeks ago as well. So obviously, for the larger cause of the nation, and Rajnath Singh, of course, said that he would not want to use this opportunity to thank all of them, because eventually all of them are proud citizens of India. But this message of the political setup being together on an issue like this actually not only empowers citizens, and they feel that the political leaders are united, but most importantly, the ones who will actually feel boosted the most will be the armed forces. And this is going to be a big lesson to Pakistan, who's trying to divide India on various lines, Shivani.
And the government has also said what they could say at this stage about Operation Sindoor. What more are you learning on that?
What I do understand that the government did give them the details which are there in the public domain, but the government said that many more details. For example, some people wanted to know how many people have been killed at the LOC, what is happening about the escalation. The government said that it's an ongoing operation, and they would not you would be able to reveal much, and that's the reason, unlike last time, where the Home Secretary and of course the IB officials did a presentation, for the political parties, on what really happened in Pahalgam. This time there could not be any such presentation. But most importantly and most critically, we are given to understand that Rajnath Singh is said to have conveyed to the opposition parties that at least 100 people are believed to have died, and the ginti is still on. Ginti abhi bhi chal rahi hai. That's what Rajnath Singh said. And the most important factor that he said, Shivani, is that India is not a country which actually likes to needle anybody, at least their neighbors. But if Pakistan escalates, then India will respond back in equal measure.
Absolutely. Obviously, India has sent a message that they don't wish to escalate as far as this matter is concerned. That was made clear in the press conference yesterday as well. On that note, Payal, any more briefings that are being planned on behalf of the MOD or the MEA? Because, those are the occasions to get more information, because a lot is happening, even suspected to have happened last evening. Could we expect more such briefings?
Well, you'll have pointed briefings happening from now on, because every arm of the government has done its briefing. Yesterday, you had the Ministry of External Affairs and the Ministry of Defence, the various arms of the Ministry of Defence doing a briefing. Today, you had the all-party meeting, which means the political briefing has also been done. From time to time, the government wants to take everybody into confidence, because India has nothing to hide. India wants to teach the neighbor a lesson, but most importantly, India does not want to leave any stone unturned to actually give any opportunity to the opposition, especially the opposition in the foreign nation, to in fact charge India on anything and try to divide India on political lines, caste lines, religious lines, which they try to do during the attack. All of this is being dealt very carefully. That's why all hands on the desk. And I remember very, very clearly that last time around also, when the opposition parties despite the fact that they had certain concerns, had raised one thing in common, and it was Mallikarjun Kharge and Rahul Gandhi again. And Rahul Gandhi this time also coming out and said that there are many things that you should not speak in the open, and we decided not to do it. We decided to support and stand with the government. And even in the meeting, he said, I understand how this really works. My party has been in power for many, many years. I understand national security really means. So obviously, that message has gone very, very strong and loud. And obviously, no one will now ask for any more briefings unless the government, which has assured the opposition party that from time to time they will be updating them about what's really happening. But it's an ongoing mission, and mission Sindhur is far from complete.
All right. Let's also go across to the next breaking update that we're getting. Centre has directed states to crack down on anti-India propaganda after Operation Sindoor. Ministry of Home Affairs has directed states to immediately block social media accounts found disseminating fake propaganda against India. That's the breaking update that we're getting right now. My colleague Arunima is bringing us more on this. This has been considered a much needed step that India needs to take at this very crucial period, because a lot of this is happening on social media, which obviously spreads like wildfire, and there is no source or confirmation on most of this information.
Yes, you're seeing continuously PIB fact check is also at work. They are specifically looking out at what is going viral on social media. Allegations being made that Indian, assets have been brought down or being targeted by Pakistan. Those have been fact checked. International publications which have made such suggestions, they have been fact checked by PIB and Ministry of External Affairs as well. And now Ministry of Home Affairs has also stepped up its efforts via Ministry of Information and Technology. They are reaching out to social media companies, also telling them to be careful about the kind of content that is being put out. And additionally, MHA itself has asked state governments and the cyber units to be very alert about what is going on in the social media space. Not only are we being targeted by Pakistan's propaganda handles, a number of which have been blocked here, but other than that, deliberately spreading misinformation at a time when things are very volatile on the international border, along the line of control, in forward areas. Civilians are facing a tough time. So in that backdrop, MHA has taken steps. It has instructed all state governments and all agencies to be vigilant about what's going on in the cyberspace and take immediate action if they feel that any false information, any misinformation or propaganda is being allowed to go viral.
All right. Arunima, thanks a lot for bringing us those updates. I also want to go across to Commodore GJ Singh, defense analyst, joining us. Thanks a lot for your time. How important do you think this side of warfare or psyops is? You know, all the propaganda that is being pushed out from enemy sides. How important is it for a country, a democracy like ours, to be seen as acting very strongly against it?
First, thank you, Shivani, for having me on your show. I must say that at this crucial period, as you said, it's very important that we should safeguard ourselves from the false propaganda. Even the propaganda which has been launched by the Defense Minister Khwaja Asif, as you had earlier, you were showing, her interview, his interview with Becky Anderson of CNN, where he says that we have downed their fighter jets. And they are probably trying to build up a, I would say, narrative and for their home constituency by firing these, projectiles. For example, the rockets which were being shown on your channel, they have been fired by their J-17s or even used one or unused one across the border into that Punjab village and trying to create or make a drama or a narrative that we have shot down their fighter jets. Our fighter jets were fighting with them. And when we are showing this on our television channels, these particular projectiles, they will fool their home constituency, their people and the international community, saying that, look, we are not doing it. The Indian channels are showing this on their TV channels.
But sir, in this case, the projectiles that have been found, they don't seem to have done any damage. So on the contrary, it will show that whatever they're claiming is incorrect.
You are absolutely right. But what they are trying to create an impression is the very presence of these projectiles, the very presence of these rockets in Indian territory means that they were their jets were on, their jets were fighting, or their jets were inside Pakistan, inside Indian space. This is what they want to create, a false narrative, a fake information, disinformation, propaganda. This is a part of the propaganda machinery. This is what I want to drive home. The point is
absolutely
that they cannot match the sophistication that we have shown in our synchronized operation of launching, as you were showing, Rafale, Mirage 2000 and Mark 30, Sukhoi 30, Mark 1, by firing a package strike of all these weapons that we have used, like hammers and spice bombs and these smart glide bombs, and along with it we have also used what you call Mica, Meteor, Scalp missiles, which are very, very precise, can do targeting and neutralizing them with a very precise hits. So therefore, I would say that this whole narrative, which is being made by the Pakistan, is basically to show their, match that they are equal to us. But they are nowhere when it comes to the level of sophistication, when it comes to the, I would say, totality. You take it, for example, the economic side of it, or you take the military might, or you take the diplomacy, or you take the strikes that we have carried out, like water strike and the commercial strikes.
Okay.
They can't match our sophistication. So
all right.
Therefore,
just hold on. Just hold your thoughts on the issue of disinformation. We have some more updates coming in, and I want your opinion on this. I'll come back to you. Government sources are informing CNN News 18 that an email ID of PIB fact check and a Telegram ID have been activated so that fake news can be busted more promptly. People are responding with evidence, and over 1,000 complaints have been received regarding information that people have found to be fake or are unsure about. All complaints are being monitored, checked and addressed. An algorithm identifies fake news and all flagged content is then thoroughly being checked. Influencers are also being closely monitored to ensure compliance. My colleague Pallavi is joining us with more on this much needed steps that the Indian government is taking.
Yes, high time. And apart from military war, what I think is even more dangerous is the mind games which Pakistan is trying to play in terms of a misinformation war. But India is absolutely battle ready here as well, Shivani. Very quickly, what we have been told, and in fact, PIB has always had a fact check unit, but they've also had an ID, which is both an email as well as a telegram ID, but this is now working round the clock. There are multiple complaints which are coming in. On the basis of those complaints, action is being taken. So YouTubes and various platforms on X, for example, are being pulled down. They are all being blocked. So the PIB fact check unit also, if you've noticed, repeatedly sending out various posts to make the point that every misinformation which is being peddled out by Pakistan will all be controlled and they will all be blocked. So people are being asked to become aware. Pakistan is frustrated, what government sources are telling us, and therefore where they are losing out on the real battle, here they are trying to spread a misinformation, but the government is already on it.
Yes. Well, these are handles, of course, that our viewers can also contact if they find a piece of news which they feel unsure about. They can obviously contact PIB fact check handles, and then of course the system will be alerted, and PIB on their Twitter handles, X handles, etc. is putting out information when they find that a certain piece of information is fake indeed. Pallavi, thanks a lot for joining us. We're going to slip into a very short break, but on the other side, we will continue to get you more updates, both from on the ground and of course what's coming to us from government as well. Stay with us.
अब आया असली
फारूक साहब, क्या माहौल है आज? जो माहौल हालात बने हैं उसमें कितना आपको मतलब ऐसा पैनिक है? कुछ यहाँ पे लोग डरे हुए हैं?
जो कल रात को शीलिंग हुई ना, उसमें थोड़ा डर लोगों में आ गया। अचानक हुआ ना ये, उससे कुछ जो छोटे बच्चे जो जिनका कुछ था ऊपर श्रीनगर में या वाराणसी में डेरे वेरे थे, वो चले गए। बाकी जो बेचारे गरीब गुरबा, वो क्या मजदूर क्या जाएगा उधर, बैठे घरों में। हाँ, तो उसके बाद तो शांति है। हाँ, रात में शांति यहाँ पर है।
तो नुकसान भी काफ़ी हुआ है, लोगों के घर तबाह हो गए हैं, कुछ लोग जख्मी भी हुए।
इस्लामाबाद में हमने सुना, इस्लामाबाद में हुए हैं जी, वहाँ जख्मी भी कुछ हुए हैं। इधर लगामा में एक पड़ा है कोई गोला, इस तरह मतलब जगह जगह पड़े हैं ये। तो बाकी तो सेफ ही है तकरीबन सारा इधर।
Since Pakistan has opened artillery fire at the LOC, there are families who have in fact moved from the areas close to LOC to the safer areas. In fact, some of the families have come to the hotels in the hinterland where they are away from the shelling. And we have these 2-3 individuals, in fact 2-3 families who have come here. They can afford it, and that's why they have chosen this hotel to stay away from that firing that is happening and is impacting lives of civilians there. I'll try to talk to them as to what are the kind of problems that they face, and also as far as the shelling is concerned. So what is the timing, what did they notice, and what happened last night? आपका नाम क्या है मैम?
बीबी फातिमा।
फातिमा जी, मुझे सबसे पहले तो बताइए कि रात आर्टिलरी फायर हुआ?
हाँ जी।
और बताया जा रहा है कि काफी खतरनाक था पिछले दिनों में।
बहुत खतरनाक।
पिछले सालों में ऐसा देखा नहीं?
ऐसा नहीं देखा।
तो आप लोगों ने फिर डिसाइड किया कि वहाँ से यहाँ आ जाएंगे?
यहाँ आ गए इधर ही।
अच्छा,
हाँ।
कौन सा गांव है आपका?
इस्लामाबाद।
जो बिल्कुल
पूरी इस्लामाबाद।
पूरी इस्लामाबाद। अगर हम बात करें आर्टिलरी फायर की, तो गाँव में कहीं आग वाग भी लगी है सुना हमने?
लगी आग लगी, मकान गिर गए।
और जो लोग हैं वो क्या, आप तो होटल में आ गए, आप तो कहें कि थोड़ा सा फाइनेंशियली स्टेबल हैं तो इसलिए पैसे दे
आ गया।
जी। और लोग कहाँ गए फिर?
उधर ही हैं।
क्या समाधान है आपको लगता है, कब तक बंद हो जाएगी ये फायर?
उस गला का कोई पता नहीं है, होएगी या नहीं होएगी, उस गला का कोई पता नहीं है।
कितने बजे, रात कितने बजे लगभग शुरू?
2 बजे।
2 बजे शुरू हुई?
2 बजे शुरू हुई है।
और कब तक चली फिर?
6 बजे तक।
6 बजे तक चली?
6 बजे तक।
6 बजे तक चली। डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की तरफ से कोई मदद की गई, डीएम वगैरह या डीसी वगैरह आए कि आप इधर शिफ्ट हो जाओ या कहीं और चले जाओ?
नहीं आया।
नहीं आए। अच्छा, कितने रुपए का रूम है मैम ये यहाँ पर आप आए हैं? कितने रुपए का रूम मिल रहा है?
1500 पर डे।
Welcome back. Maintaining a focus on the big update that we're getting to you as far as what the government told the opposition in the all-party meet today. On Operation Sindoor, the government has clarified that precise strikes were carried out on 9 terrorist hideouts, as they said yesterday. But about 100 terrorists have been killed, is what the government has told the opposition. More confirmations are still awaited. The counting is still ongoing, is what Rajnath Singh, Defence Minister, is believed to have told the opposition, and that India does not wish to escalate the situation. But if Pakistan acts, India will not back down either. My colleague Payal is bringing us more on this. Payal, the rough number, the rough estimate is at 100 terrorists killed so far.
Yes, the most encouraging fact, Shivani, is that at least 100 terrorists have been killed so far. That's what the Raksha Mantri told the all-party meeting, and that has come to us through our sources. But he said one thing also, underscoring the point, he said, Ginti abhi bhi jari hai. Don't know the exact number, at least 100 have been killed, and that should be what really comes out and what has India really done. How has India bled Pakistan? That's been the big development that's come to the fore. Raksha Mantri did convey to the opposition leaders that it is an ongoing operation. It is not going to be possible for the government of the day to give them the exact details and the exact briefing. And that's the reason, unlike last time when they gave a presentation on behalf of the Ministry of Home Affairs, this time around there was no exact briefing which came as far as any presentation was really concerned.
Yes, but the difference this time around also is, if you compare it to previous strikes that India has conducted, is that in the very first press conference yesterday itself, Payal, proof in the form of footage and pictures was provided.
Yes, India has done specific strikes, and that's why they're called the precise strikes. India knew exactly where they wanted to hit Pakistan the most. All the locations, etc., were also shared with all the political, beg your pardon, with the entire country. Those locations were there out in the open. Each one's explanation has also been given by these women who were actually speaking on behalf of the armed forces. And that's something which is there in the public domain, and that's there for everybody to see, including Pakistan. Can Pakistan deny this? The answer certainly is no, Shivani, because the first proof that India struck them came from Pakistan itself in the wee hours of yesterday morning.
Absolutely. Payal, I appreciate you joining us. We'll keep coming back to you for more. Let me take that to Commodore J.J. Singh, who also continues to be with us. The Indian aim has been very clear and precise. And Pakistan is seemingly floundering a little bit to try and project it otherwise, as they're going around the international media and attempting to do so, that civilians have been targeted. But the reality is that India's strikes were so precise that not even neighboring buildings were affected. And we believe, as far as the government is saying in the all-party meeting, that at least 100 terrorists could have perished.
Sure, yeah, 100 minimum, because you see, yesterday we have not targeted their army or any civilian areas. We have targeted their terror infrastructure and terrorists. The terrorist network have got a bloody nose yesterday. And we have sent a very strong message. The message we have given them is that we know who you are and where you are. It is time for you to know about the intent and capability to strike you, to get you wherever you are. So the kind of messaging that we have made to Pakistan terrorist organizations, and of course, there is a meta message also to these army, unprofessional army, a rogue army, which is not training their own military, but training only these terrorists. They are the ones who are totally unprofessional. Excuse me. They are also known as property dealers in Pakistan, that they are mostly interested in, buying properties outside in London and all that. And their generals have, although got the ranks on their shoulders, but they do not know their profession. So they only engage in these things.
We're also keeping a very close watch, Commodore, on the activity both on the LOC and the international border. There are casualties on the Indian side as far as the LOC is concerned. We've seen some of those visuals that have come in of Pakistan trying to precisely hit civilian areas. How best should India respond? Of course, there is response that is being given, not much publicized, but this is a situation that India would want to arrest.
Yeah, this is a very worrying because if you ask me, when I look at their mindset, their DNA, the number of years that I have invested in understanding and analyzing their mindset, because Pakistan army does not listen to even their political establishment, their prime minister and president and defense minister, only ornamental democracy. They actually even control their foreign policy and make all decisions themselves. They are not listening to any. They are only for getting funds from abroad. You can say like a front office. Democracy is like the front office. So therefore, to in retaliation, what they can do is, as they did in Pahalgam and other places, always to hit the soft target, the civilian.
No, but sir, this situation on the international border, the LOC, I can understand, ceasefire violations happen, and of course, India will give them a bloody nose as and when required. But the situation on the international border, these projectiles that have been found on our side of the border, etc., something is being attempted by Pakistan. This is very serious. This is escalation in some ways from their side.
Yeah, you see, this is why I'm saying it worries me, because Pakistan is known for targeting their civilian populated areas. For example, I'll tell you, in 1965, I was in school in Punjab, and at that time when Pakistan was completely defeated and their army had moved to their positions, and the final day, their air force attacked our civilian populated areas called Cherata near Amritsar. That's a small town, and they were a total of almost 250 to 300 casualties. So these rogue air force and rogue army, you cannot believe them. You just cannot trust them. They can do anything because they can come in just for a revenge. Because you see, the revenge emotion is very dominant in them. They want to revenge everything. For example, if you see whatever is taking place on the LOC, firing on Punch and Akhnur and all these civilian areas, what they're trying to do is they're basically taking revenge.
Yes, they're attempting to, certainly. But I think what is also evident on ground is that India has thwarted some of those attempts. Commodore, stay with us. We're getting some more breaking updates of what's really happening inside Pakistan, because a lot of visuals are flooding social media as well, of fires breaking out, bombs dropping, sirens going off. And now we're getting an update from Lahore. Pakistan media itself is reporting that firing has been heard on Lahore's Walton Road again near DHA Chowk. Police and law agencies are heading to the site, is what the Pakistani media is reporting. My colleague Siddhant is also joining us with more on this. What's being reported, Siddhant?
Well, we have a very little information, or rather our source is Pakistani media. In fact, in the morning also, this news was flashed on Pakistani channels, perhaps confirming that 3 explosions have been heard around Walton area in Lahore. In fact, people came out rushing from their houses, and in fact, similar, a story was flashed for Karachi as well a short while back, that explosions were heard in Karachi. Now, Pak media has to say that there have been some gunshots also which were fired after the explosion in Lahore. In fact, that is what the update as far as Walton area explosion is concerned. That is what Pakistani media is confirming. In fact, they are also saying this in their commentary that Pakistani systems have shot down Indian drones. That is what they are alleging, that these drones have been sent by India for surveillance purpose and to carry out some kind of a strike in Lahore and Karachi, and these drones have been shot down by Pakistani forces. So this is what they are reporting. Perhaps, they have not provided any evidence of drone being shot down or perhaps a debris of that or any other details. All they are doing is they are flashing such stories. Pakistani channels are flashing such stories since morning. So there are three major cities which have been highlighted. There is one other place which is a suburb of Karachi, Qayyumabad. Perhaps there are some reports emerging from there also that the drones have been shot down. We don't have any confirmation. Is Pakistan army trying to create a new theory that look how India is targeting civilians in Pakistan? Perhaps that could be their game plan, because yesterday at a briefing India made its position very, very clear that there is no plan to target civilians. India always wanted to hit the terror camps, and perhaps that is what was done. And Pakistan, on the contrary, Pakistan is targeting civilians in Poonch. So now maybe Pakistan is trying to create this new narrative that look how Indian drones have been sent to target civilians in Lahore, Karachi, Qayyumabad. Perhaps that could be the dirty games that Pakistani army must be playing. And since these channels are army's stooges, so it's very easy to get these stories planted.
April in the Indian Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. This attack compelled us to respond on 7th May by striking of our collaboration and the deep friendship between us. I'm sure that we will mark the anniversary appropriately. As a neighbor and a close partner, it is important that you have a good understanding of the situation. Once again, a very warm welcome to Delhi, and I invite you for your opening remarks.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for your opening remarks. Well, on our bilateral relations, the only thing I have to say is to reciprocate what Your Excellency said. Iran-India relation goes back to history. We have always enjoyed very friendly and warm relations between the two countries based on mutual respect and mutual interest. And that has continued over the years. And still, we have very good, close, friendly relations. Our economic cooperation is good, but not as good as we expected because of the sanctions, as you know, which we hope that we can overcome that problem in the future. Well, our leaders talked with each other in Kazan, as you said, and
External Affairs Jaishankar holding a delegation level meeting with his Iranian counterpart, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi in India. You heard there External Affairs Minister making a statement at the start, and he did mention Pahalgam, how India needed to retaliate after that terror attack targeting innocent civilians. And he has also gone on to say that India does not wish to escalate this situation, but if Pakistan does anything more, then India will respond. Let's also go across to my colleague Siddhant, who continues to be with us. So Siddhant, just give me a sense of the underlying nuances of the Iranian counterpart being in India at this time. India-Iran relationships, as the Iranian foreign minister was saying, these are cultural ties that are almost civilizational in nature. But as far as the situation with Pakistan is supposed to be concerned, how will that weigh in on this relationship?
Well, Shivani, this visit of Iranian foreign minister was planned much before Pahalgam terror attack. In fact, he was also asked by the Indian side not to hyphenate Pakistan and India. So first he went to Pakistan, then he returned to Tehran, the capital of Iran. And from Tehran, he again commenced his visit to New Delhi to hold Iran-India joint consultation consultation meeting with EM S. Jaishankar. In fact, a short while back, we were hearing EM S. Jaishankar, meeting his Iranian counterpart. In fact, Iran on a very first day offered its good office to mediate between India and Pakistan. But the fact is that Iran does not hold cards. Iran's offer is not so significant if I talk in India's context, because India never believes in bringing in third party to mediate the issue with Pakistan. Point number one. Point number two, Iran itself has a lot of issues, especially after President Trump coming to power in the United States. So their priority is also to settle ongoing issues with United States, with Israel. There is again fresh escalation with Israel, not to get India-Pakistan, this escalation diffused. And the third and the most important point is that Iran was the country which in fact did limited strikes in Pakistan in January 2024 on Jaish-ul-Adl targets. So when it was a threat to Iranian forces, they acted to establish deterrence, and they did preemptive strikes. So now they don't have any locus standi to perhaps talk about mediation or using their good office for mediation between India and Pakistan. He's here for the talks, India-Iran consultations, and in fact, it's a routine exercise. India-Iran has a very deep ties. In fact, India has a strategic port, Chabahar port in Iran. India used to buy oil from Iran. And in fact, this time around also, Iran is looking out for opportunities, perhaps exploring opportunities, so that India can again, think of at least put an effort to start buying oil, crude from Iran. So that is always a priority for Iran. And since his visit was on the cards, perhaps that could be one reason that he offered to mediate between India and Pakistan. So it does not hold much significance.
Yes, well, countries tend to do that, but we know what India's response on that is. Commodore GJ Singh, you want to weigh in on this situation? Because, most countries will give out some of their tried and tested statements. They have their own considerations, so they will talk of de-escalation, they will talk of mediation, diplomacy, talks, etc. But overall, you would have noticed not just countries that have huge interest in India, but even countries that are considered to be more friendly to Pakistan have kind of indicated them to back off.
You see, first of all, let me tell you that the words which the Iranian foreign minister has said, the kind of statement he has made under the instigation of Pakistanis. He went to Pakistan first. So there, the Prime Minister there, the Defense Minister there, the Foreign Minister and everybody had played a religious card. And when he was coming on his way to Delhi, they have probably told him, could you go and please offer yourself as a mediator? Because the Iranians, you see, I have been to Iran because I was in the Merchant Navy. I know their mentality. The Iranians, they look at India through the lens of pre-partition days. Yes. Because when India was British India, then our neighbor was Iran.
Yes.
And we are very close cultural, the language-wise, the civilization relations. Our culture is very close. In fact, most of our even food items like Mughlais and all that, Mughlai, chicken Mughlai, all this comes from even Gulab Jamun name comes from the Persian language. There are a lot of Persian language words which are there in our songs when it comes to film industry. So they consider us very close. They always think that India is a country with whom we must have good relations. But at the same time, they get offended or they get irritated or something happens to them emotionally, because when we get closer to Israel is relation with Iran, you know very well. They are totally 180-degree opposite. Same with Americans or other countries to whom we are inclined to. So they also are diplomats. I mean, whatever he's talking is also talking from the diplomatically. But we understand. I'm sure our Jaishankar, foreign minister, is too smart for him. He understands. That is why he politely but firmly has told him we don't need any mediation. So I think the way we are handling the situation currently, as the circumstances prevail in our region, are totally excellent. That's a way forward because we have to maintain our relations with the countries like Israel. Our defense, relations with them are very good. We are in collaboration with many, what they call is the Indo-Israeli collaboration. In fact, the ammunition that we use, like the Loitering ammunition, is made with the help of these Israelis only here in Bangalore, where I'm speaking from. So we are very close to them. Our relation with them are also very good because the Jews are not only in Israel. We had the Jewish community, Israeli community in Cochin, in Bombay, in South India, right for the past 3,000 years, which people don't know. So that relation with the Israelis also comes into play when we are dealing with the Israeli government. And we have a lot of Jews who are in Israel, who are migrating from what you call Bombay and Maharashtra coastline to Israel in 1948, 40 or 50s or later than that. So our country's relation with the rest of the world are different than what Pakistan is. Pakistan has got only one thing, that is play the religious card. हम भी इस्लाम है, आप भी इस्लाम है, हमारी मदद को. So they get also because that's the only thing.
How much traction do you think this religious binding is having in today's day and world?
In today's?
Yeah, in today's time. Will Pakistan be able to get friends only on the religious lines?
You see, when it comes to religion, when it comes to Islam, they all become one. For example, I'll tell you, Hillary Clinton once made a statement that if you, bring up these snakes in your backyard, referring to the different fragments of these terrorist organization or infra or the kind of groups that we have in Pakistan, they will definitely bite the ones who bring them up. But I disagreed with her. Why? Because these very snakes, like they say, the cobra, the snakes, when it comes to India, they all become one sutardhari. They become one. They say India is a kafir country. This is how they deal with us. They don't understand. They have, as I told you, no education level other than madrasas. They have no what you call economic power, gun power, or talk about anything, even in art and culture. And I mean, they're nowhere. The sophistication-wise, they are no match for us. There's a wide gap. So therefore, these people, they only have a religious card. That is why I was saying that Pakistan army is only good at indoctrination, training, and creating infrastructure for these terrorists. So they only manufacture terrorists. This is the only kheti that they do. Now the agriculture will also stop because we are going to stop the water there. The only culture that they can have is the terrorism. That is why we always, all defense analysts call across the world epicenter, the epicenter of terrorism. That is why it is designated that way.
Yeah.
So
we know the history that Pakistan has and how little some countries do as far as isolating it on the issue of terror is concerned. We know the imperfect world we live in. But going forward, Commodore, what do you think could be Pakistan's response? They are trying or possibly attempting a few things at the LOC and the international border. Will they cross a certain escalation ladder that will force on India to act again as well?
No, I don't think so, because they are already, as we have seen, their Prime Minister, Defense Minister making statements that if we stop our, firing and we stop ourselves, we go down the ladder, they will do nothing. They're scared now, but only for a year or two. They will get back to this again. So in my opinion, we should continue to make the military pressure on them. We shouldn't stop there. If this raid we had carried out yesterday, the strike, precision strike that we carried on them, should be a norm in time to come. So building up their military pressure on them should be a constant. That is the solution. If you say they will get reformed, you will be able to change their mind, you will be able to sort of improve them. I'm sorry, they will not. They'll continue with this. Their track record for the last 70 years shows this. 65, 71, Kargil war, then you see parliament attacks, you see this 6/11, Uri, Pathankot, Pahalgam, I mean, Pulwama, you name it. I mean, track record, we all know. So I would say that it will be naive, it will not be wise to trust them. That is why I have been building up on this, that they cannot be trusted. They are not trustworthy.
You know, two important messages from India today as far as Pakistan and the developing situation is concerned. One is reported from the all-party meet where Rajnath Singh, Defence Minister, also said if Pakistan attempts something, we are ready and we will retaliate. And External Affairs Minister spoke just a short while ago as well. Let's in fact play that out.
Excellency, you are visiting India at a time when we are responding to a particularly barbaric terrorist attack on 22nd April in the Indian Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. This attack compelled us to respond on 7th May by striking at cross-border terrorist infrastructure. Our response was targeted and measured. It is not our intention to escalate the situation. However, if there are military attacks on us, there should be no doubt that it will be met with a very firm response.
We'll continue to get you more updates coming in, not just from the LOC and the international border, but of course what more and more of the government voices are saying. But speaking of that, let's also take a quick check of some of the ground reports we've got.
This is the face of displacement that has taken place in the border areas due to intense shelling by Pakistan. 8 families who live ahead of the fence have been shifted from their houses. They have to leave, and they have been kept inside this hall, which was a gymnasium in a degree college in Uri, and they are forced to live here because they say that their place is now unsafe and Pakistan has been shelling there, and they want a permanent solution to their problems. That they live ahead of the fence. They want the government to permanently relocate them so they don't have to face all these issues in the coming days. You'll see women, ladies, kids all shifted to this particular location so that they could save their lives, and they have all told us that they don't want to risk their lives because shelling is something which has happened there, and this has made a life difficult for them. So they are being sent to these places in those critical areas when there is need to relocate them. The government has already decided that they will relocate these families, so they have relocated some of them, but there is intense shelling happening in border, which is making people get displaced. Emotional moments for them. They have to leave their house. They don't know what will happen to them, but they are for now being relocated inside these houses. काफ़ी बार शेलिंग होती है. आप बॉर्डर फेंस के आगे रहते हैं, आपके आगे वाले गांव है, तो गेट के अंदर रहते हैं, आप बॉर्डर के आगे रहते हैं, तो क्या आपने यहाँ पे शिफ्ट क्यों किया?
हमें किया कि जान बचाने के लिए. वहाँ रात को भी होती है, परसों रात को भी हुई, आज रात को भी हुई. हमें गवर्नमेंट से यही अपील है कि यहाँ तो हमें शांति चाहिए, या हमारा बंदोबस्त करो. तो पशु की तरह अंदर देते हो. बड़ी मसला, बहुत मसला हमें बहुत बुरा है. वो गेट है हमारे लिए. गेट वो नहीं खोलते अगर कोई उधर कत्ल भी हो जाएगा.
आप बताइए कि परसों गोलीबारी हुई क्या आपके गांव में?
हाँ, हमारे गांव में गोलीबारी हुई. हम रात को भागे, बैंकर में बाढ़ गए, मगर बैंकर में वो आधे में आए. हमें बोला क्या पता बैंकर पर, वो बैंकर भी नहीं पूरा अच्छा है. उसमें ना पावर है, ना पानी है, ना कुछ इंतजाम है. उधर बैठे हैं. अगर बाहर भी निकले कभी शिलिंग का खतरा है. इधर से लेंगे बाहर. खाना खाने कहाँ जाएंगे तो भूखे मरेंगे. शेख शंकर में मकान तक चढ़ने में हमें उधर
तकलीफ ही होती है. आप बताइए, आप स्टूडेंट हैं?
नहीं, ये मेरा बच्चा
अच्छा, आपका बच्चा है, आप पढ़ाई करते हैं जी। कितनी मुश्किल हो गई यहाँ घर से आपको छोड़ के यहाँ आने में?
बहुत ज़्यादा,
पढ़ रहे थे।
बहुत ज़्यादा मुसीबत हो रही है। क्या फ़ायदा यहाँ आने का जब 2 दिन 3 दिन यहाँ पे रखते हैं, फिर चौथे दिन बोलते हैं जाओ वापस। यहाँ तो हमारा बंदोबस्त करो, यहाँ वो गेट उठाओ।
तो आप चाहते हैं कि अब वहाँ से अगर रिलोकेट करके सरकार कहीं और आपको ले जाए, वहाँ पे रहने?
हम वो चाहते हैं।
हमें थोड़ी सी जगह दे दे, हम वहाँ बंदोबस्त करके आराम से
बिल्कुल अपनी जान हम सबको प्यारी है। जब हर एक को अपनी जान प्यारी है तो हमें भी अपनी जान प्यारी। आज अगर हमारा बंदोबस्त हो जाएगा, हम कभी नहीं बोलेंगे कि हमें गेट के अंदर जाना है।
भारत और पाकिस्तान के बीच जो इस वक्त टेंशन चल रही है और उसके चलते जो पाकिस्तान ने कल शेलिंग की थी, जब ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के बाद पाकिस्तान ने शेलिंग की थी, अनप्रोवोक्ड फायरिंग की थी, पुंछ, राजौरी, मेंढर ऐसे एरियाज में, इस तरह कश्मीर में उड़ी हो, बारामूला हो, कुपवारा हो, वहाँ पे भी ज़बरदस्त शेलिंग की थी। लेकिन उसके बाद अगर हम अखनूर सेक्टर की बात करें तो यहाँ पे भी आज रात को, बीती रात को फायरिंग हुई है। कंटिन्यूसली 13 दिनों से कंटिन्यूसली इंडियन पोस्ट्स पे यहाँ पे फायरिंग हो रही है। लेकिन यहाँ पे हालांकि रेजिडेंशियल एरियाज को निशाना नहीं बनाया जा रहा है अखनूर सेक्टर में, लेकिन कई एरियाज हैं, जैसे परगवाल सेक्टर है, इस जम्मू का परगवाल सेक्टर है, यहाँ पे इस एरिया की अगर हम बात करें तो ये हमेशा इस परगवाल सेक्टर में पाकिस्तान की तरफ से फायरिंग होती रही है। ये जीरो लाइन के बिल्कुल पास है और यहाँ अगर हम 65 की वार की बात करें, 71 के वार की बात करें, और या अगर हम जो कारगिल वार हुआ था उसमें भी पाकिस्तान की तरफ से यहाँ हमेशा फायरिंग होती रही है। लेकिन अब कल से यहाँ लोग जो हैं सहमे हुए थे। कल की अगर हम बात करें तो कई लोग यहाँ से निकले हैं, लेकिन आज क्या कहेंगे जो बदला लिया गया?
सर बदला लिया तो वो अच्छी बात, सब कुछ ठीक किया, लेकिन हमें पीओ के चाहिए। अभी नहीं लिया तो फिर कभी नहीं लेंगे हम। ये मोदी ले सकता और कोई नहीं ले सकता, और हमें उम्मीद भी है लेगा पक्का।
अभी भी आपको अनसर्टेनिटी लग रही है कि कभी भी कुछ भी हो सकता है?
हाँ, पाकिस्तान करेगा कुछ ना कुछ, क्या पता चोरी पे करे, आज नहीं कल करे, कल नहीं परसों करे, वही।
लेकिन तब भी आपको लगता है कि जो किया गया इंडिया की तरफ से उससे ज्यादा करना चाहिए?
हाँ, ज्यादा करना चाहिए।
Thanks a lot for staying with us. I'm Shivani Gupta. We're tracking the latest in the aftermath of Operation Sindoor. More updates coming in and lined up for you. But let's first take a quick check of the top stories. 2 Pakistani projectiles found in an open field in Amritsar and Hoshiarpur of Punjab. The debris is likely from PL-15E air-to-air missile and is reportedly Chinese-made. Another infiltration bid by Pakistan has been foiled. BSF has killed a Pakistani intruder on the Indo-Pak border in Firozpur. He was killed after trying to cross the border and not stopping despite repeated warnings. Pakistan media has reported hearing firing in Lahore's Walton Road. Police and law agencies are probing the matter. All-party meet has concluded. Government has briefed the opposition over the strikes conducted in Pakistan. Government has told opposition that strikes were carried out at 9 terror hideouts and at least 100 terrorists have been killed. Let's get you some more updates that we're tracking. Intel sources have told CNN News 18 that Operation Sindoor is not just retaliatory in nature. In many ways, it is a reassertion of India's doctrine of preemptive strikes now against cross-border terrorism. Killing Masood Azhar's relatives, including women and children, has demonstrated India's willingness to dismantle terror networks at their roots and hurt them where it hurts the most. In many ways, India's strikes have dismantled Jaish-e-Mohammed's core, rewriting the rules of engagement and signaling that terror safe havens will face unprecedented consequences if they ever attempt more action against India. My colleague Anand is joining us live on this. Anand, not just retaliatory but preemptive. This is the message that India wants to send.
Yes, one of the aspects, and I think let's focus on Bahawalpur and what's happened with the Jaish Markaz, Subhanallah. The reason is that this is not just avenging the huge number of sequence of attacks that Jaish has perpetrated, terror attacks on Bharatiya soil. but also because they were training cadre for fresh attacks and big counter strikes or big strikes on Indian soil. So there is retaliatory and also preemptive, but we must also say that the damage inflicted is not just damaging terror infrastructure, but now there is confirmed understanding that one of the key operational commanders of the Jaish-e-Mohammed, someone very, very close to Masood Azhar, Rauf Azhar, has also been neutralized. And that's why when Jaish confirmed that at least 10 of the family members of Masood Azhar have been neutralized, they focused and tried to underline only women, etc., but they did not highlight the names. And what is big is that when Hafiz Rauf stands there, Hafiz Abdul stands there to lead the funeral prayers, there means somebody important has been neutralized. And among the Jaish, Rauf Azhar, someone who was whose release led to the eventual killing through the hands of Omar Sheikh of journalist Daniel Pearl, has also been neutralized, along with some other key operational commanders of the Jaish-e-Mohammed who were related to Masood Azhar. There is a reason why these strikes in Bahawalpur are telling. They have not only avenged the past attacks of the Jaish, where multiple times there have been calls that this hub of the terror hydra that is of Jaish, that is Bahawalpur, must be decimated. It's been done. But like you said, it's also preemptive because the government sources are telling CNN News 18 via Manoj Kumar Gupta that there is confirmed intelligence and confirmed knowledge that the Jaish was preparing to unleash hundreds of cadre into Indian soil to perpetrate series of attacks on Indian soil.
You know, the shift in India's strategy is that not just every time Pakistan or Pakistan-based terror groups attempt something in India, but possibly the revision in the policy is that going forward, we're going to also make preemptive strikes. When, if at all, these hideouts or these launch pads, these training centers are to come up again, that's the big question, Anand. Will India strike even without a terror attack in India?
The fact is that these terror camps have now been neutralized because to send a clear message that we know exactly where your core infrastructure is, and we can decimate it, demolish it. Now, out of the 9 sites that were attacked, at least 5 of them were largely Jaish terror hubs. 2 of them were Hizbul terror hubs, and 4 were Jaish terror hubs, 3 were Lashkar terror hubs, and 2 were Hizbul terror hubs. So these are, and that includes Muridke and Bahawalpur, the main headquarters of the Lashkar and Jaish respectively. But towards POJK, where there were terror camps, they have also been, like in Muzaffarabad, like in Gulpur and Kotli, like in Chakamru, like in Sialkot. These are all areas, these are all places which were standard terror camps, which is not common knowledge. But India has struck via Operation Sindoor at these camps, sending the message that wherever you set up infrastructure, we are watching you. And if you create a build-up of 100, 125 cadre in each of these terror camps, then we are going to come and neutralize it even before they step out, even before they complete their training. So these are all jihadis. The Pakistan government establishment may say that these are individuals or these are citizens, but viewers and Shivani, I think we should be very, very clear. These are terrorists. The government has officially said that 100 terrorists have been accounted for, and the counting is still on. So we know exactly how many dead bodies and how many jihadis have been accounted for. And that is the message that if you start building up again anywhere else, we will come back, get in, identify, track and punish.
Yes. You know, when we talk about Pakistan, the central question, Anand, always is that this messaging, you know, India has been escalating the message. Also, it's both retaliatory and preemptive strikes every time Pakistan-based terror groups attempt something. But the only question that comes to mind always when we deal with Pakistan is, who's listening in Pakistan? Are they really getting this message?
Well, I think there is no doubt about the fact that unless the core, the fountainhead is defanged, that is the military establishment. Unless the ISI and the military establishment is defanged, it is devolved of all its powers that is enjoying right now, the unbridled access to resources and even controlling the civilian government. The Pakistan Awam or the people of Pakistan and the Pakistan polity has to turn around and do this. Otherwise, Pakistan will be dismembered. It is hurtling in that direction. Many are aware of this. So terror tanzeems also, it will be a deterrent for anybody now to get into recruiting into these terror camps, because they are signing in their death warrants, because they may be neutralized even before they realize what's going to happen. So that's one part. But the other part is that the military has to now be so defamed and so devoid of any popularity or purchase among the Pakistan polity and Pakistan people, that it gets defanged. That's the situation that it's got to eventually build up to, because there are many who are sitting there. The general, the current Pakistan Army chief himself is a mullah. Many call him Mullah Munir more than an army general. So he thinks from a radicalized bent of mind. His speech also very clearly divulged what his thought processes are.
Yes.
So someone, if he is so far gone and so far bigoted and so far down the radical path, do we really want that person to have access to the nuclear button or to the control of a nation's army?
Yes.
That's the question everybody has to ask, and perhaps the world is waking up to that.
Absolutely. Anand, just stay with me. We've got some more breaking updates that are coming in. Pakistan has sent loitering munitions at night in an attempt to damage some of our radars and attack India across the border. But what we're getting to know is that the Air Force was ready and brought them down. Loitering munitions are like kamikaze drones. They're called suicide drones as well. They go and loiter over a target until it is absolutely identified. Their direction or their target can also be changed. They loiter over the target. Pakistan tried sending these loitering drones but was unsuccessful in attacking any installations or any other property in India. Pakistan is alleging that shells were recovered in Lahore, but sources are telling us that they responded to Pakistan fire only. Anand continues to be with us. Anand, more updates coming in, because, you know, a lot of Indian citizens must be reading up a lot on social media of what's going on, particularly on the international border in Punjab. 2 projectiles have also been found in Amritsar villages. But we're getting more updates now of how loitering munition was sent in by Pakistan but didn't manage to do any damage.
Now, here's what Bharat tried to do with Operation Sindoor. When loitering munitions were used, they were used to demolish and break down terror infrastructure. But Pakistan's response and the Pakistan's military response was devious. They sent the loitering munitions, Pakistan Army has sent across the loitering munitions into Indian territory with the attempt or with the intent to damage Indian radar systems. And this is along the international border, not along the line of control, but the international border in Punjab. That's the reason why locals, residents in Amritsar and in the nearby areas heard loud bangs. These were nothing but the air defense systems deployed by Bharat, neutralizing these kamikaze drones, like you call them, or these loitering munitions, who had approached military facilities, the radar stations, Indian radar stations, with the intent to damage them. Why the intent and what was the plot? Let's try and understand this. The Pakistan Army sent these suicide drones or kamikaze drones that will drop, explode and demolish themselves into the Indian airspace, into Indian territory, attacking the radar systems to try and damage the Indian radars. Thereafter, there was a plan. That's why there was a huge military movement in Lahore to try and plan a massive strike, air strike on India, into Indian territory. What were the targets? There is no confirmation of the same, but the area range was in Punjab, Rajasthan, perhaps in that region. Were there religious institutions? Were there military institutions on the radar? Were there civilian institutions on the radar? That's still up in the air. There's no confirmation of the same, but Pakistan had attempted a military strike on Indian soil, and the first step to that was sending these loitering munitions so that these loitering munitions would damage Indian radar systems and allow the Pakistan Air Force to try and sneak into Indian territory. That has been foiled. So what the people, locals have heard is Pakistani drones being neutralized, Pakistani loitering munitions being rendered ineffective or neutralized by the Indian air defense systems or the Indian defense systems. That's what's happened. What Pakistan is claiming is happening in Lahore, as of now, it's conjecture. There is no confirmation from the Indian side of anything like that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, Anand. Thanks a lot for breaking down those updates that we're tracking. This will continue to be a big focus. This attempt by Pakistan to try and hit installations or other establishments in India. I'm joined by Wing Commander Abhishek Matiman, who's a former spokesperson of the Ministry of Defense. Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow, ORF and security expert, is also with us. Wing Commander Abhishek, I'm coming to you. How will this attempt of sending any loitering munition, any drones, any kind of attempt across the international border be seen in India? Where does it land on the escalation matrix? Because this seems to be very serious if they've attempted this.
See, we started off the campaign clearly mentioning and making it very clear to the press, to the international community, that we are going to target only and only terror and terror-related infrastructure, terrorists and terrorist infrastructure. So that was the first go, and leading to the operations that we did post midnight on the first night. Now, going step by step, what we saw throughout the day yesterday was varying opinions and varying interpretations coming out of the officialdom of Pakistan. Before their NSC meeting was conducted, their defense minister Khwaja Saab ne bola कि in case India now stops any more operations, we are ready to wrap up things.
Yes.
But soon after that, after the conclusion of the NSC meet, their Prime Minister, Shahbaz Sharif himself, came out and said that we reserve the right to respond.
Yes, you know, they have actually, they've said that
India's
India's strikes are a declaration of war or an attempt at declaring war. What I want to understand from you before I go to Sushant Sareen is, now that we found these missile parts or projectile parts, we have information of loitering munitions being attempted inside Indian territory. Is this not escalating from Pakistan's side? Does this not give us the window to respond now?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I welcome them with open hands. That is what we wanted, and that is how it's going to be. Now, what has happened is we don't have any terror infrastructure or terrorist hideouts on our soil. So obviously, what they could get after was military targets. Initially, with the early morning, today's early morning reports that came in indicated that they had been actually shelling villages and targeting civilians there. There were a lot of reports regarding that, in which some casualties, unconfirmed number of casualties, have taken place on our side of the fence.
Yes. So
but thereafter, now they had eventually to address military targets only, because that is what
that's
they
very
have
serious
to get
then,
after.
Sushant. If Pakistan has even attempted any kind of institution, establishment attack, any kind of military installation attack, then they've already escalated this beyond what everybody was telling them to, even if they've attempted it.
Shivani, quite honestly, as of now, there is a kind of information fog. A lot of, from the official sources, we're not getting a whole lot of information, and I would really hope that the government in India was to hold at least 2 briefings in a day to at least fill in the media on what exactly is happening. Give us the official side of the story, at least tell us what the situation is on the border. Nobody is asking for operational details, but please tell us what are the kind of antics that the Pakistanis are trying, and how are we likely to respond and responding. I'm not asking for any operational details or any sensitive details, but for the government to keep everything close to its chest and let the rumor mills work over time. I don't think it's the correct media strategy. Having said that, from whatever we are learning, it seems that the Pakistanis have tried to up the ante.
Yes.
At least, the kind of debris that has been found along the border regions, some reports of explosions being heard near Amritsar and other places. And I suppose it is in response to that we are seeing certain actions taking place from the Indian side. Now, neither side is acknowledging what they have done to the other side, but at least from the Pakistani side, they are claiming that The Indian side has been sending in certain drones, and there are some footage. I don't know how reliable. Much of this is unverified information. But there is this information floating around that some Pakistani targets have been hit inside near Lahore, a couple of other cities. And now, whether these are military targets, civilian targets, whether these are Pakistani false flag attacks to try and find a justification for
To
trying
attack India.
to indulge in some adventurism against India. I don't know. We are in that very fuzzy
You know, but
state.
Shashank, what is concerning is that even if we forget everything that Pakistan media or Pakistani establishment is running, we are finding evidences of foreign, equipment on our side. So that in itself makes it at least.
Shivani, now anything which comes from Pakistan has to be foreign. They don't make anything of their own anyways. Apart from jihadis and polio, what is their exports to the rest of the world? This is their only export, right? So the point is that we are finding the evidence, and the Pakistanis will be probably probing Indian air defenses, they'll be probing Indian preparedness, they'll be trying and seeing whether they can indulge in certain things, and our guys would probably be doing the same thing.
So
But I
if the
think one
Indian
thing
government, I'm trying to understand from the government's point of view, the Indian government since last night isn't really detailing much of this, despite the fact that visuals have come out, for example, of those projectiles believed to be from the Chinese jets that Pakistan has. Could it be an attempt to thwart any Pakistani attempts across the IB and just under the radar deal with them and not let this escalate the issue any further?
It is quite possible that if they're not, coming out openly and not, trying to do something without escalating, then we are responding in a very proportionate manner. But I can tell you one thing: if the Pakistanis were to launch any serious strike against any civilian or military target, from what we are learning, the response from the Indian side will be overwhelming, unsparing, and there will be nothing which will not be on target. So whether it's military establishments in Pakistan or civilian establishments in Pakistan, everything will be in the crosshairs. So I hope we are not going to go down that road because war is nasty business. But if that is what the Pakistanis want, then that is what they will get.
Wing Commander, please weigh in on this. The preparedness on the Indian side, what would already have been prepared to ensure that any misadventure from Pakistan's side can be dealt with?
See, we already have the equipment and the countermeasures to tackle these kind of
Just hold your thoughts, sir. I'm going to come back to you. Sorry for interrupting you. We're getting some breaking updates coming in. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is chairing a high-level meeting with secretaries of Government of India. The Prime Minister today chaired this meeting with secretaries of various ministries and departments to review national preparedness and interministerial coordination in light of the recent developments concerning national security. He has stressed on the need for seamless coordination amongst the ministries and agencies to uphold operational continuity and institutional resilience. Let's go across to my colleague Aman Sharma, who's also joining us with more on this. Aman.
Yes, the Prime Minister has chaired this very important meeting today, and he has met the secretaries of all the ministries and departments of the Government of India. Given the heightened awareness which is there right now after Operation Sindoor, and the country remains in a state of high readiness, the Prime Minister has asked all the secretaries, to review the national preparedness. There should be interministerial, coordination. There has to be institutional resilience. Also from the bureaucracy when it comes to handling the current situation, a whole of the government approach. And the Prime Minister has said that, the functioning of essential systems, be it the emergency response system, the internal communication protocols, the readiness, all of this should be foolproof, ensured. The whole planning needs to be there. And also, importantly, he has asked ministries to be ready to deal with all kind of emerging situations. So since Operation Sindoor, the government has been very, very attentive and very, very alert, because Pakistan has been threatening a retaliatory strike. And India has very clearly said that if Pakistan does so, India will also answer back in equal measure. And that is why this meeting with the bureaucracy is very important, because all the civil defense mechanisms, efforts to counter the misinformation, the fake news, which is very widely circulating from Pakistan, and also ensuring the security of our critical infrastructure is something that is on top on the government's chart. And that is why all the top bureaucrats of the country, the Prime Minister has met today, advised them to work in a government, whole of government approach. The Cabinet Secretary was there, the senior PMO officials, and all the key ministries, Home, Defense, External Affairs, Information and Broadcasting, the Prime Minister calling for a clear communication strategy in this very sensitive period after Operation Sindoor.
The Prime Minister has been chairing many meetings, Aman. Most of them have had to do, with the defense establishment, with the armed forces, the military. This is now the first attempt to kind of bring the other arm of government, which is the bureaucracy, also onto the same page. Does this signify a certain level of seriousness and alert and alarm in the system?
Well, absolutely. I would not call it like an alarm, but yes, a full-time alert is on, because after Operation Sindoor was a massive, the element of surprise was achieved against Pakistan. The kind of statements that have come from Pakistan yesterday, and the kind of cross-border shelling they have done to target our civilians, India is very resolute that any strike from Pakistan cannot succeed. It will be nullified if Pakistan does any misadventure. And for that case, the whole of the government approach, that not just the Home, not just the Defense Ministry, but all ministries need to work together in unison and in a clear strategy, because also a big challenge, Shivani, which is emerging is this wide circulation of fake news and misinformation that, Pakistan circulated old videos to show that there has been some damage on the Indian side, which the Indian side is very resolutely denying. So even the Information and Broadcasting Ministry's role becomes very important along with other ministries. So the Prime Minister is clearly saying all hands on deck, and all secretaries need to be working together. The bureaucracy needs to be aiding the government machinery and the political machinery to ensure that a resolute answer is given to all misadventures and misdesigns of Pakistan.
All right, Aman, thanks a lot for joining us. Let me quickly go across to my colleague Arun also, who's joining us. Arun has been tracking all the meetings taking place at the Prime Minister's residence. Arun, tell us more.
Well, that's right, Shivani. Prime Minister Modi took a meeting of all the... In fact, let me quickly show you a glimpse, visuals, in fact, of the Prime Minister Modi's residence. You can see these vehicles, and we're given to understand that this is a cavalcade of the Minister of State of External Affairs of Saudi Arabia. A very significant meeting, Shivani, with Prime Minister Modi. You can see in the visuals that this cavalcade is going about. The meeting, in fact, lasted for almost 1 hour. So, in the backdrop of India's Operation Sindoor, this meeting is very important. Saudi Arabia's External Affairs Minister is coming to India, and then in the morning meeting S. Jaishankar, and now he was here at 7 LKM with Prime Minister Modi. So this meeting is also very significant. But of course, coming back to the other question about the meetings of the secretaries from Home Ministry, External Affairs Ministry, Education, Information and Broadcasting, they all were present in this meeting with Prime Minister Modi, which in fact lasted for almost 1 hour here at 7 LKM. The instructions, of course, were very clear from the Prime Minister's side that there needs to be, interministerial coordination, and also importantly to coordinate with the different states in the backdrop of, the Operation Sindoor, which India conducted, and the kind of